America, hit fucking blow!
Yes.
And Colta can be found on the TV and the radio. She writes really nasty things. Now everybody knows Colta's cruel. Ooh, she makes conservatives drool. Well, she made those widows mad with the mean things that she said. Won't somebody just grab that bitch, slap her upside the head? Colta's cruel. Ooh, what a pitiful fool. Don't wanna hear no more about it. I just wish somebody would shut her up. Well, if Ann thinks she's so tough, well, why don't we find out? Put her in a room with Rosie O'Donnell and see which one comes out. Colta's cruel, ooh, but Rosie would rule. Let's make Ann's neck a little longer by giving her an uppercut to the jaw.
All right. So guess who misses a flight from Chicago back to town and won't be on today at 2 o'clock? I'll give you one guess.
All right.
That's who it is. So what do we got it to? Curtis?
Go.
Oh, we can't have Curtis. Curtis is doing 7 to 10 with the Beast. Oh, what do we got? No, you're kidding, are you? Geldy's on it too?
Yes.
You're joking me.
No.
The day after my birthday, and that's the present I get is 2 hours of Geldy?
Yes.
Well, at least he's after us, not before us anyway.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, my God. Thanks a lot, Mad Dog. You idiot. You a dumbass. I saw the humper on the Breeders' Cup telecast on Saturday. My God, he is butched up, bulked up. Not butched up, maybe, but bulked up. He was bigger than my screen could handle. You know, my 46-inch Samsung, my HD TV set?
I've heard about it.
Wow. It's a good thing I got a big screen because the humper was like all over the place. He took up the whole screen. What did I tell you? Frankie Dettori, the greatest jockey in the world. I always told you that, but nevertheless. They don't want to hear about horse racing. They don't want to hear about, they sure don't want to hear about sports and about how the Bears just handed that game. It was, I don't want to say it looked like a fix. I mean, that would be, you can't say that. But isn't that what it looked like, Josh?
Yeah, somewhat. Maybe they paid Rex off.
Yeah, maybe Rex was going back to his Florida roots again, you know? Maybe he thought he was back working in Florida or something. I don't know what that was
gross,
all about.
Man.
Yeah, it was gross, He is gross, and he sucked. And, of course, then last night, I understood, well, your team lost. Well, who the hell expected to win that game anyway? It was fairly entertaining.
What do you mean? You guys always beat the Colts.
No.
Yeah.
Don't always beat. They lost to them last year in the regular season. That's in the playoffs you're thinking about when Sandy Peyton Manning chokes it up a little bit. And you're a good one to talk, man. The excuse is that Josh don't have he doesn't have the package. He doesn't have the NFL package, so we can't see the Bucs play most weeks. And boy, are you lucky. It puts you in a much better mood. They really stink.
Yes, they do.
I mean, the Saints just wiped them right off the field yesterday. There was a fine breeze between Drew Brees' knees. Just the whole game. At any rate, nobody wants to hear about sports. They want to hear about the election tomorrow and about Dick Cheney's going to go hunting tomorrow with his bulldog daughter. We'll get to that. But, of course, the big news over the weekend was Pastor Ted. All right. Hey, Ted.
You fairy.
They all wind up the same. Have you noticed that? They all wind up the same, every one of them.
I have sinned.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
a liar and a deceiver.
Yeah. Less than 24 hours after being fired from the megachurch he founded, evangelical Pastor Ted Haggard confessed to a lifelong sexual problem.
Uh-huh.
In a letter read to members of his New Life Church yesterday, Haggard said he is a deceiver and a liar.
Absolutely.
Haggard apologized to his congregation in a letter, asked for their forgiveness. There is part of my life that is so repulsive and dark that I've been warring against it all my adult life, Haggard said in a letter read by Pastor Larry Stockstill, member of the Board of Overseers of New Life Church. On Saturday, members of the board ousted Haggard from the 14,000-member church, citing his sexually immoral conduct. Mike Jones claims the prominent pastor paid him for sex over a 3-year period. Haggard only admitted to receiving a massage from the Denver man, although he didn't say what parts he was massaging. The pastor also admitted that he had bought methamphetamine, but said he didn't use the drug and he threw it away. Isn't that what George usually does? He buys a pound of pot and then he doesn't smoke it, he just throws it away.
No, I burn it.
Yeah,
slowly, over time.
In his apology letter, Haggard made no mention of drug use, but said, I am guilty of sexual immorality. He also noted, the things I did opened the door for additional allegations. This is like everyone, haven't I told you this for years? Every one of these militant, hysterical homophobes.
Everyone.
Every one of them is a closet fag. Every single one of them. And I've encountered a few in my time. Every one of them is a queen. Haggard asked the congregation to forgive his accuser, who Haggard also revealed the deception that was in my life, whatever that means. In a separate letter from Haggard's wife to the women of the congregation, also read by Stockstill, Gail Haggard said that while her heart is broken, she remains committed to him until death do us part. The couple's got 5 children. Wonder what Merle Haggard thinks of all of that. I'm feeling kind of haggard about it myself.
Make me
we got the big election tomorrow, baby. Any interest?
No.
Huh? Well, we'll get to that poll. We're taking a poll on that today. Here's the poll from Friday, and look at how many votes we had. 2,027. Is that incredible or what?
What?
Neil talks too much about, I hate this poll, 421, 20.7%. I hate this poll, won again. These dumb polls, 320. See, he's doing it right now again. He talks too much about these dumb polls. Horse racing, 223. How about that Frankie Dettori?
Oh!
Poor Javier Castellano, man. He nearly gets killed. He gets thrown off the horse they had to destroy at Pine Island. And then they take him off in the ambulance. He comes back and rides Bernardini in the Classic and gets beat by that Uruguayan horse. He gets beat, and there are a couple of idiots on there like, well, maybe he moved too soon. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. It's just so stupid. Hockey, 213. Horse racing and hockey, the 2 H's, man, they do not want to hear about those. Management, 158. Politics, 148. Well, excuse me. Homo stuff, 133.
You fairy.
Like, speaking of Reverend Haggard, the Pastor Ted. Sales holds 105. George W. Bush, 97. Sports, 68. Religion, 55. Food, 46. And old crap, 40. Too much living in the past talking about that old crap, you know? Old horse racing and old cars and old music and old stuff. That's because Neil was 64 yesterday. Happy birthday to you. Thanks. Thank you so much. Did I get a card or like any well wishes from the radio station?
No.
I got a nice gift from George, but I didn't get nothing from the station. Not even a card. Not even a fax. Not even a fax. Saying happy birthday, you old goat, and thanks for those numbers in there. Thanks for keeping us on the air. Nothing. But there'll be something in the mail in a day or two. It's called a check, which be much more valuable than a stupid fax or a card. I mean, what do you do with a birthday card? You know, you look at it and you think, oh, that's cute, or well, how stupid.
You put it up on the mantle.
No, you throw it away. Vice President Dick Cheney will spend tomorrow, Election Day, on his first hunting trip since he accidentally shot his companion last February while aiming at a covey of quail on a private Texas ranch. A covey of quail. What a wonderful expression that is, isn't it? A covey of quail. A gaggle of geese and a covey of quail and a bunch of a-holes. The Vice President, after working at the White House this morning, will head to South Dakota to spend several days at a private hunting lodge near Pierre. Leah Ann McBride, his press secretary, said it was an annual hunting outing and said Cheney spent Election Day in 2002 at the very self-same lodge. He'll be accompanied by his bulldog daughter, Mary, and his political director, Mel Raines, who will help keep him track of election returns. On a February 11th hunting trip in Texas, Cheney, of course, shot poor old attorney Harry Whittington in the torso, neck, and face when he pulled the trigger on his 28-gauge shotgun. Oops! Oh, sorry, Harry. The Vice President later called it one of the worst days of my life and said the image of him falling is something I'll never be able to get out of my mind. How about the image of all those soldiers falling and dying and getting maimed and butchered in Iraq? Will he ever be able to get that out of his mind? Yeah. I'm sure he will.
That gets him hot.
The shooting was ruled an accident. Whittington was hospitalized for 6 days, but he's fine, you know? Just,
oh, we're fine.
Okay. Maybe he'll shoot his bulldog daughter tomorrow, Mary. He's probably been fixing to do that for a long time.
Straighten her up.
You think he's been fixing to do it? It's another one of them Southern Yahoo expressions. Oh, I'm fixing to do this, I'm fixing to do that. What kind of a stupid thing is that?
Southern.
I'm fixing dinner, I can see that. Or I'm fixing your ass, or like dumbass. How about that Mad Dog being a dumbass? So Josh doesn't want me to tell a story on air about how when he went to Hank.
Oh, he doesn't. I don't care. Hank will say, call me dumbass on the air on his show.
Yeah. Does he still do that?
Yeah, he still does.
On the air, off the air.
Because you missed a flight. So the obvious question is tomorrow when we have the Power Hour with Hank and the Mad Dog between 4 and 5 together, will Hank call Mad Dog a dumbass for missing his flight from Chicago and not being on the air today?
That is a good question.
Well, that's what you want to know, but of course, then again, you're no Mad Dog. See what I'm saying?
Oh, right.
Well, fair is fair, Humper. Come on. Boy, he got bigger than I think there's some communities, like, not as big as Hank. He's just gigantic. Mammoth. He is a humongous monster in the radio industry. Democrats, poised to score gains in the U.S. Senate, are struggling to pull ahead in the final seat they need to win the control. USA Today Gallup poll says in 6 key states. Democratic challengers are leading Republican incumbents, in some cases very narrowly, in Missouri, Montana, and Rhode Island, according to the latest USA Today survey out today. Other polls show Democratic challengers ahead in Ohio and Pennsylvania. Those are no-brainers. Even if Democrats sweep those 5 races, however, they would fall 1 seat short of the 6 needed for majority status. 2 Republican targets in Tennessee and Virginia now lead by 3 percentage points among likely voters. It says to me the Senate is still very much in play and could go either way, says Stu Rothenberg, editor of the nonpartisan Rothenberg Political Report. In a separate nationwide USA Gallup poll taken Thursday through yesterday, Democrats were favored over Republicans for Congress by 51 to 44% among likely voters. In the CNN poll, Democrats were 10 points ahead. Republicans are back in the game. They're engaged, said Andy Kohut of the Pew Research Center, which had similar results in the survey released yesterday. In the House, Democrats, well, we know that. I'm so sick and tired of them showing that chart. Well, the Democrats need to pick up 15. Yeah, we know what they need, you idiots, for crying out loud. And see, they got Allen ahead in Virginia. The last poll I saw yesterday showed Webb ahead by 1 point of Senator Makakowicz. Several races remain fluid in Rhode Island, where White House's lead has tightened from an 11-point margin a month ago. 16% of likely voters say they made up their minds within the last week, and 13% are still undecided. In Missouri, they're still 7% undecided. So for those people who are getting ready to fix the Diebold machines and all the other touchscreen stuff tomorrow, there'll be a real a good cop-out. You know, well, there's all these undecideds, you know, and they made up their mind at the last minute, and every one of them voted Republican. Or at least when they touched the screen, that's what the screen said. They all voted Republican. How confident are you? Going to vote, George?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, you can't vote.
Right.
Being an illegal alien.
That's right.
Oh, seriously, I thought you got that straightened out.
Well, I didn't.
You did not?
I did not.
Oh, well, I got news for you, man. If the Republicans retain control of either house tomorrow, you're deported.
Well, that would be bad somehow.
That would be interesting. Well, we'll hook it up for you. You can be in Cuba, and I'll be in Canada.
Well, we'll go to Vancouver and be a refugee there.
Where we'll be safe. Yeah, you can take your 10-pound, you can take your 400 pounds of pot that you bought from the Chiefs of Sun. And hang out in B.C.
I wish I had that.
Just take a B.C. powder. 10:13 at 560 WQAM. How about those Dolphins? Oh! An early Christmas gift from the Bears. I tell you, the Bears looked so bad yesterday. I can't even begin to describe how pathetic they looked. They looked like a little girls' team. Didn't they, Josh?
Yes, they did.
They really looked pathetic. Like they were just, who wants to do this? You know, let's go find something else to do. You know, an auto accident is a traumatic experience. There's shock, there's stress, there's grief, there's soreness. It's something nobody wants to happen, but when it does, you need help answering all the questions that immediately race through your mind. What do I do now? Who do I turn to? Do I need medical treatment? Do I need an attorney? Am I entitled to compensation? So many questions, and of course you need to be sure you call the right number to get all the answers the first time when you need help. Here's that right number, 1-888-CRASH-61. It's a free call, and there's no obligation. 1-888-CRASH-61, 1-888-CRASH-61, because you need answers, not another accident. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can call that number. It's your auto accident hotline, 1-888-CRASH-61. It's toll-free. There's no obligation. Get all your questions answered about your automobile accident just by making that one easy call and get you instant peace of mind. 1-888-CRASH-61. That's 1-888-CRASH-61.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Rogers got.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'd like to know who won the election. Said I'd like to know who won the election. Count the vote, baby, count the vote, over, count the vote, baby, count the vote, over, count the vote. Ever since this presidential race began, I've often wondered who was going to win. Some Palm Beach people went to do their voting chore. So count up all the ballots and find out who's gotten more. Those old folks seem to have one thing in common. Looks like lots of them just gave their votes to Patrick Buchanan. So I'd like to know who won the election. Yes, I'd like to know who won the election. Count the vote, baby, count the vote, over, count the vote, baby, count the vote, over, count the vote. The final tabulation started coming in. Then I saw a news flash on Channel 10. Some angry people all together in a bunch. They said they were confused and didn't know which hole to punch. Those old folks seem to have one thing in common. Looks like lots of them just gave their votes to Patrick Buchanan. So I'd like to know who won the election. Said I'd like to know who won the election. Oh, I'd like to know who won the election. Yes, I'd like to know who won the election. Count the vote, baby, count the vote over, count the vote, baby, count the vote over, count the vote, how many for Bush, count the vote, how many for Gore, count the vote, how many for Bush, count the vote, are there any more, count the vote, they messed up the ballot, count the vote, they messed up the ballot.
Yeah, they messed up the ballot, baby. It's 20 past 10. That's just the American effing way. I saw a great movie over the weekend. In fact, I got my response, my confirmation from Amazon.com. It's already on the way to you.
All right.
Or at least it will be this week anyway. I didn't pay the extra for the express shipping because I figure you can wait.
Don't worry. Yes, I can.
Match Point is the name of the movie, and I can't believe it's last year's movie. I can't believe neither one of you guys seen it, man.
Me
You
either.
are just, huh?
When I'm flipping, if I see Scarlett's face, I stop right there.
Scarlett Johansson's in it, and also Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, which I never saw him before. And now since I saw the movie, I've seen him in about a half a dozen commercials. He's a actor and a model, which to me says
Gay.
British.
That's how it always happens, isn't it?
I don't know.
You see somebody one time and all of a
He's
sudden you see them
awful
all
pretty,
day.
I will say that. At least in this movie, when he's modeling in these ads, he don't look all that good. But nevertheless, and there's a lot of flesh in there. Not you really don't see what you want to see, but and I didn't see what I wanted to see. But
I'll take it.
there's a lot of screwing and tattooing and whatever. And the ending of the movie, and the most amazing part of the whole thing, besides a great ending, is that come to find out it's a Woody Allen movie, which I'd have known that in the beginning, I never would have watched it. I hate Woody Allen like poison. And there was none of that fetchy, New Yorkie. The whole thing was in England anyway. No, it was none of that. And he wasn't. Also, he wasn't in it. Thanks God. So if anybody wants to see a really good flick, if you like Scarlett Johansson, for example, that could be one reason. Or maybe you like Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
You ferret.
Whatever his name is. Go see it. I mean, go get it. Yeah, you're going to get it. Believe me, you'll like it. If you don't like that movie, I'll be shocked. And then you'll loan it to Josh, to a dumbass, and he can watch it. Guess who came out of the closet over the weekend? Not Charlie Chris.
Gay.
Well, we know that. Did you see the story?
About who? Doogie?
Oh, you saw it.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, years ago, I thought he liked to do it Doogie style.
You did. I knew you'd be making that joke again.
Neil Patrick Harris is gay and wants to quell any rumors to the contrary. I'm quite proud to say that I'm a very content gay man, living my life to the fullest, Harris tells People magazine's website. The 33-year-old actor said he was motivated to disclose his sexuality because of recent speculation and interest in his private life and relationships. Harris stars on the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother, Your Mama. He starred on TV as a teen, playing the namesake doctor on the series Doogie Howser, M.D. Oh, God. Who cares, huh? Why would anybody really care about that? You know what I'm saying?
I'm slow. I'd play the theme for you, but for some reason I can't find it.
What, from Doogie Howser?
Yeah.
Never watched it. What a stupid... I mean, well, maybe I tried to watch it when it first came on, you know.
Well, I watched it once, and it was really stupid, and I never made that mistake
And that was
again.
once more than enough? 867 votes on today's poll. When's Charlie Chris coming out? Certainly, hopefully, before the election tomorrow. How important are Tuesday's elections to you? That's our poll question. Very, 412. Very important. Muy importante. Life and death, 178. Somewhat, 117. Not at all, 48. Not much, 40. What, me worry, 39. I hate this poll's only got 7 because I put an alternative on there. I just hate 26. What did I tell you? That no matter what the poll would be or what we would say or what we'd be talking about, we hate 26. And I hate the poll, only 7. So there's a more honest response, I guess. And how could you hate that poll anyway? Tomorrow's election day. 868 votes. Our goal is 869.
My fellow Americans.
Front page story on Time magazine this week. God versus science. Can religion stand up to the test?
No.
You know, they put these things on there like we're all a bunch of 5-year-old children, which I guess in this territory, in this subject matter, most people are equivalent to like 5-year-old children. Mm-hmm. It's a debate that long predates Darwin, but the anti-religion position is being promoted with increasing insistence by scientists angered by so-called intelligent design, and excited, perhaps intoxicated by the discipline's increasing ability to map, quantify, and change the nature of human experience. Look at Reverend Ted, for example. He sure changed his experience. He has sinned. Oh, stop. Same old, tired crap. And all these stupid bastards out there, all these getchkis, schlepping and bringing their money and turning it over to all these phony grave robbers, all these fakers, all these closet queens and preverts. Brain imaging illustrates in color the physical seat of the will and the passions, challenging the religious concept of a soul independent of glands and gristle. Brain chemists track imbalances that account for the ecstatic states of visionary saints, or some suggest of Jesus. Maybe they saw Jesus on halava back in the old days. You think they ate halava?
They must have.
Halava. Catholicism's Christoph Cardinal Schönborn has dubbed the most fervent of faith-challenging scientists followers of scientism or evolutionism, since they hope science, beyond being a measure, can replace religion as a worldview and a touchstone. Wouldn't that be a breath of fresh air? Science. Oh, God, the work of the devil again. Satan's at it again. It is not an epithet that fits everyone wielding a test tube. But a growing proportion of the profession's experiencing what one major researcher calls unprecedented outrage and perceived insults to research and rationality, ranging from the alleged influence of the Christian right on Bush administration science policy to the fanatic faith of the 9/11 terrorist, to intelligent design's ongoing claims. Some are radicalized enough to publicly pick an ancient scab. The idea that science and religion, far from being complementary responses to the unknown, are at utter odds. They're at utter odds. Finding a spokesman for this side of the question wasn't hard, since Richard Dawkins, perhaps its foremost polemicist, has just come out with The God Delusion, the rare volume whose position is so clear it foregoes a subtitle. The God Delusion. I got to get that. The 5-week New York Times bestseller, now at number 8, attacks faith philosophically and historically as well as scientifically, but leans heavily on Darwinian theory, which was Dawkins' expertise as a young scientist, and more recently as an explicator of evolutionary psychology. Explicator. What the hell is that?
I guess he explicates.
Oh. Dawkins said, "Are you eating again, you cow, you pig? You're going to balloon up like the humper."
The bacon from Howie's just
God,
showed up.
He is just, seriously, every time I see him, he gets bigger and bigger. Oh. It's like somebody has stuck a bicycle pump up his...
Rectum.
God. Man, what a jackass. Dawkins and his peers have a swarm of articulate theological opponents, of course, but the most ardent of these don't really care much about science, and an argument in which one party stands immovable on Scripture and the other immobile on the periodic table doesn't get anyone very far. Most Americans occupy the middle ground. We want it all. We want to cheer on science's studies and still humble ourselves on the Sabbath. Right. We want access to both MRIs and miracles. We want debates on issues like stem cells without conceding that the positions are so intrinsically inimical as to make discussions fruitless. Informed conciliators have recently become more vocal, and foremost among them is Francis Collins. Collins' devotion to genetics, if possible, is greater than Dawkins. Director of the National Human Genome Research Institute since 1993, he headed a multinational 2,400 scientist team that co-mapped the 3 billion biochemical letters of our genetic blueprint, a milestone that then-President Clinton honored in a 2000 White House ceremony, comparing the genome chart to Meriwether Lewis's map of his fateful continental exploration. Collins continues to lead his institute in studying the genome and mining it for medical breakthroughs. He is also a forthright Christian who converted from atheism at the age of 27 and now finds time to advise young evangelical scientists on how to declare their faith in science's largely agnostic upper reaches. All the getchkis, all the time.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 AM.
If anybody has opinions dissenting from our way, we'll place your name into the system as enemy of the state. Don't even bother to question, just follow and obey. Everybody's turning fascist USA. In the act of patriotism, we're watching all of you. Everyone's under suspicion, so that's what you do. They've got information, and all you mindless fools in Bush Fatherland Nation, fascist USA. You gotta hate those Jews. And with the liberals too. Believe everything we tell you. State Run News. Blood war for cornbread. Fill up your Escalade. A Reuben Cheney Bush menu. Fascist USA. We don't mind to see our jobs go. A bad economy's good. We're fascinated by J-Lo. Don't read no stupid books. All now are embracing the Pax American way.
Oh my God.
Everybody's turning fascist. Fascist USA.
So George says, don't miss the Borat movie. He said it's funnier than all hell and you'll pee in your pants.
Yes, you will.
And I said, don't miss a Match Point. And here's a fax right off the bat. It says, when my wife asked me to rent Match Point and watch it with her, I was not looking forward to it, expecting another sappy chick flick.
Yay.
But I was way off. You are absolutely correct, sir. It was excellent.
Absolutely correct, sir.
And you're right, whoever sent the fax. I'm glad you got to see it. And, of course, George and Josh won't have to be talked into watching it because it's got, what's her name in it? Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I never knew that Woody Allen had any talent at all, much less this much. It's really the story. Can I tell you what the story's about?
Please.
So Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, he's the star, Chris, and he's a former tennis player and tennis coach and whatever. He's I don't know, like supposed to be about 30, whatever I would say.
About 30, man.
And he meets this chick, and she's part of this very, very wealthy family with this big mansion. It's a British thing, you know. And anyway, so he gets married to her eventually, and then his brother-in-law, her brother, he's the one that's dating Scarlett Johansson. And then they have a falling out, and he finally marries some other chick. And so, to make a long story short, Chris winds up having an affair with Scarlett Johansson. I don't want to give it away. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's too good.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you the rest. But it just, when it gets to the end, there's a great line there at the end of the movie. The line, I want to make sure I have it right. I don't have it right.
Don't tell me the line.
No, it doesn't give anything away. It's just a good line about, because they finally, they've been trying to have a kid, you know, Chris and the wife.
Mm-hmm.
And finally she gets pregnant, and at the end of the movie you see there's the baby is born and yada yada yada. And the brother-in-law says, or one of the family says, I hope he's very talented. And then the mother says, oh, well, he's certainly going to be. And somebody says, no, that's not important that he's talented. I hope that he's lucky. Yeah. Which kind of like sums up the thing for the whole movie. Anyway, speaking of Getchkis and crazy religionists and just crazy people in general, Catherine Harris, who has made past comments that raise questions about her religious sensitivity, prayed in a telephone prayer service recently that God would bring the hearts and minds of our Jewish brothers and sisters into alignment.
Oi!
Oh, she's a crazy bitch.
Yes, she is.
A Harris spokeswoman said Friday that the Longboat Key Republican who has advocated electing Christian office holders was talking about converting Jews to vote Republican, not to Christianity. In a conference call prayer service sponsored by a religious conservative group October 3rd, Harris expressed the belief that Florida will lead the nation in a spiritual reawakening. She said that will include changes in government, including prayer in schools, and changes in tax regulations on churches and charities. Oh, yeah, I'm all for that last part. Start taxing the crap out of them. 90%. We just decree and declare there will be a shift for this nation, that there will be an enormous revival, even a revolution as we speak, she prayed. Once again we'll rejoice with your Son, and bring this nation into alignment with your government and with your kingdom principles and authority. Harris's comments elicited concern from the head of the National Jewish Organization on Governmental Policy, who has tracked her campaign. Jeffrey Pasek, president of the Jewish Social Policy Action Network, said he couldn't tell what Harris meant, but said he's troubled by her comments. Harris appears to be asserting the country should be governed by religious law and advocating alignment between American law and what she interprets as biblical law. Well, God is a Republican, isn't he, after all?
Yes, and straight.
When told of Harris's... Oh, don't be too sure about that. When told of Harris's explanation that she meant aligning with Republicans, Pasek said, there is room to read her statements as being extremely insensitive. I can't know what she meant. I can only look at them and say they continue to trouble me. In August, Harris told interviewers from the Florida Baptist Witness, if you're not electing Christians, then in essence you're going to legislate sin. You know, good Christians like Mark Foley, people like that. And, of course, Charlie Crist.
Yeah, don't forget that preacher.
Well, he's not an orifice holder, though. Preacher Father Ted?
Yeah.
He ain't holding an orifice, although I think somebody was massaging his orifice. In her debate Wednesday night with opponent U.S. Bill Nelson of Orlando, when moderator Tim Russer questioned her about that, she said she meant that everyone should be involved, everyone should vote, and everyone should run for office if they wish. I never said you have to be a Christian. I was distinguishing myself between Bill Nelson and how he says he votes versus how he actually votes, she said to Russert, even though the comment didn't mention Nelson. Her October 3rd comments about Jews took place during an Awaken the Nation conference call prayer service headed by Ken Malone, senior pastor of Lighthouse World Outreach in Davenport. His website says the ministry has an apostolic governmental role. Apostolic, you idiot. An apostolic government. I'm having trouble with words today, okay? It's probably because I'm so old now. Probably. I'm having a senior moment. His website says the ministry has an apostolic governmental role and seeks to shift the government and courts of our nation. Florida, he says, is the forerunner to the nation in that mission. Florida is in the missionary position. Malone's organization has set up a series of telephone prayer services that involve people he refers to as prophetic intercessors and prophetic teachers. I think he meant pathetic, not prophetic. The recording of one of the involving Harris has disappeared from the site since the Tampa Tribune asked her campaign about it Friday. It just vanished like magic. In a short speech and later a prayer on the conference call, Harris said Florida is key with regard to a shift in this nation, and no doubt these elections in Florida are key as well. That's why there's such spiritual warfare. As regard to a shift in this nation, I think there's an extra letter in that word. In the prayer at the end of the conference call, she sought God's help to bring these goals about. And Father, awaken our churches now, she prayed. Treat the pastors' hearts so those who think there's no place for government, have them understand kingdom government, how they need to be involved in the governance on this earth because God is our governance. She added, and Father God, right now on the day after the Jewish New Year, Father, after the day after Atonement, as they enter into their New Year, Father God, I just pray that we bring the hearts and minds of our Jewish brothers and sisters into alignment. She prayed for the safety of Israel, your sacred nation, Father. Father. For your father, she said. For your father.
You're out of line, Jew boy.
How about for her mother? For your mama, bitch. Catherine Harris, a crazy person. How much chance has she got? Much less than none. Minus infinity. Thanks God. Although I think she'd fit right in with kind of the way America's going now. George recommends the movie, which I talked about at length, which you forgot about, Aaron Russo's America, Freedom to Fascism. Recommends it highly.
Well, I saw the trailer, so I can't wait to see it.
You haven't seen the movie yet.
And as far as that, what's that voting movie that's on HBO right now? Stealing the vote, hacking the vote.
Democracy.
Hacking Democracy, that's it. Saw it again.
Right.
And it's just as scary, just as bone-chilling, so everyone needs to see that like today.
Let's see, it's on HBO today. Let's see, East West Latino today. But it'll be on tomorrow on regular HBO.
Watch it in Spanish.
It'll be on HBO East tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So before you go vote, watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, maybe, like I said, after you come home from voting, watch it, because otherwise, if you watch this, you might want to not vote. You think, oh, what's the sense of voting? Because it's all hacked anyway, you know, and here comes Hack the Wife. 1042 at 560 WQAM. Experience the difference at Mercedes-Benz of Pompano. And don't forget, at Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, it doesn't make any difference what time of the month you purchase a vehicle. You always get the best deal, whether it's the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, a week from Circus, whenever. Whether it's one of the brand new 2007 Mercedes-Benz luxury sedans, the 2007 GL Class, the first Mercedes-Benz full-size SUV, or their large selection of great certified pre-owned cars. When you choose Mercedes-Benz of Pompano, you'll have over 200 employees dedicated to providing you incomparable service. Offering express lube, courtesy vehicles, and complimentary car washes, too. Make an appointment through our Business Development Center. You can even earn dealer miles just like frequent flyer miles with your airline. Browse Mercedes-Benz of Pompano's Indoor Expo with over 150 great new and pre-owned vehicles, or just go to benzpompano.com, B-E-N-Z. Experience the difference at Mercedes-Benz of Pompano. You'll find them at I-95 and Copens Road. Call them at 1-800-NEW-BENZ, N-E-W-B-E-N-Z. That's 1-800-NEW-BENZ for Mercedes-Benz of Pompano. Like I always tell you, it's a Mercedes-Benz dealer like absolutely no other.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Tell me that's the rejoin.
Yo.
Just like that?
Neil Rogers. God.
He gave his little baby son right to Madonna, and now he wants the baby back. What the hell was this guy smoking marijuana? 'Cause now he wants the baby back. Madonna already changed the kid's name to Howie, and now he wants the baby back. I wonder if that ex shipped children to Malawi, 'cause daddy wants the baby back. Maybe the daddy is mental. friends, but still he wants the baby back. Riding with a gin and tonic, or tickets to Harry Connick. He'd have a better life with the material girl. On Thanksgiving he'll eat turkey instead of a squirrel. But he wants him back, but Donna better get herself a good attorney, 'cause Daddy wants his baby back. This thing turned out worse than a weekend with Bernie. He wants to get his baby back. I think that the dad is mental, 'cause he thought it was a rental. Is there a 30-day money-back guarantee?
About 30, man.
Maybe she'll have to find a kid in Tennessee. Daddy wants him back.
I love the way those end real suddenly, real abrupt. Kind of like some of those rejoins we have now that we've got the rejoin buried in the middle of so many spots now. It's like a contest now. Will the real rejoin please stand up? Joke. That's Clarence for you, an idiot. Hey, Clarence, you jackass. 10:49. It's 11 before the hour. We got Geldy for Mad Dog who missed his flight. What a jackass. Geldy 2 to 4. Got the Power Hour, I guess, with Hank and Geldy. I don't know what's going on. And Hank will be on 4 to 7. Curtis and the Beast, 7 to 10, and then ADK at 10 o'clock. No game, no Panther, no nothing. Very strange schedule. The Panthers played on, I don't know, what the hell day was it, Friday? And now they don't play again until the Rangers on Wednesday. Very strange. Here's a fax that says, Borat movie is very funny. You will love it, Neil. It shows how racist and ignorant the U.S. really is. Comic genius. Also saw Cocaine Cowboys. If you lived in Miami during the late 70s, early 80s, you must watch it. And then it says, promise you will. Cocaine Cowboys.
Now raise your hand.
Okay, I promise.
Put your left hand on your...
My legs are crossed and my eyes and my nuts. And the amazing thing of that game last night is Tom Brady had three of his balls tipped.
How'd that feel?
Then it says, I listened to your advice, promise you'll watch it. Die-hard Finn fan, happy on Monday for the first time in a while. Dolphins number 32, baby. It said, yeah, they suck. They're a joke. I noticed that after they, what's his name, Grossman threw the ball right into Jason Taylor's hand for the touchdown, I noticed that Joey Harrington reciprocated and threw one right into the hands of the linebacker for the Bears. Remember that one, Josh?
I think it was the lineman, Alex Brown, but yeah.
Well, whoever the hell it was. See, there he goes again. What a jackass. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I want you to monitor the humper today, see if he calls Mad Dog a jackass for missing his flight.
By the way. It's dumbass.
Oh, I'm sorry, dumbass. I keep saying
wrong
jackass.
ass.
Oh, well, one ass, you see him when you see them all. Except for Scarlett Johansson. Trying to think if you see, I don't know, there's not much. Drivers are being asked to use alternate routes after a southbound tanker rig went off I-95 onto a street below the elevated roadway around Northwest 131st Street and exploded into flame this morning. At least one person was reported dead. FHP spokesman Lieutenant Pat San Angelo said the crash occurred around 9 o'clock this morning near the I-95 exit and entrance ramps at Northwest 135th Street. He said the tanker collided with a pickup truck, then plunged off I-95 and crashed and exploded. San Angelo said the rig's driver was killed. It wasn't immediately known if the fire that followed the explosion caused any structural damage to I-95 in that area. Inspectors have been called in, and the road in that area remain closed until they complete their work. Firefighters used foam to contain the fire, and authorities said they needed to douse nearby St. James Catholic Church with water. They oughter. The church also houses a school, which was evacuated. Flames were reported out by 9:30 this morning, but a huge plume of smoke still hung over the area. A TV station showed the charred, almost skeletal-like remains of the foam-soaked tanker which had crashed down the road near 441. The crash stalled all southbound traffic in the area, and the backup was miles long. It wasn't immediately known how long the road would be shut down. So those of you, if you're still sitting in traffic, good luck to you, okay? That'll teach you. That'll teach you to be driving in South Florida. Boy, I sure miss driving. Not. You know what? I once upon a time, I got to the point I felt if I was ever like too old to drive or I just was in a situation where I didn't have to drive anymore, I would really miss it. Ask me if I miss it. No. I miss my Corvettes. Like, driving on an open road, like on a big highway without hardly any traffic. I miss that. The feel, the feel under your foot. The feel when three of your nuts balls get tipped. Did I say nuts? Three of your nuts get tipped. Well, that's what Rocky the Squirrel told me.
Yeah, that was a Freudian tip.
A group that claims marijuana use is safer than drinking ran newspaper ads this past weekend mentioning allegations that President Bush once drunkenly challenged his father to a fight and Vice President Cheney's accidental shooting of a friend after drinking. Beat you.
Yeah, you did.
Safer Colorado, which put a measure on the Colorado ballot to legalize possession of marijuana, placed an ad in a newspaper in Greeley that's Colorado, where Bush made an appearance on Saturday. Wasn't that Horace Greeley who said, "Go west, young man"?
Who?
The ad in the Greeley Tribune had a photo of Bush accompanied by a text that read, in 1972, who did say that, "Go west, young man"? Horace Greeley, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Oh, I got to Google it. Go west. Horace Greeley, all right.
All right.
Oh, my God, that's making up for all that butchering those words in the first story. Almost.
So who was Horace Greeley?
Guy. Greeley. The ad in the Greeley Tribune had a photo of Bush accompanied by a text that read, in 1972, this man tried to fight his dad when he was drunk. Just one more reason to vote yes on 44. The ad was referring to published reports that in 1972, a 26-year-old Bush had come home drunk and challenged his father to a fight. The matter reportedly was settled without violence. The group ran the Cheney ad in the Gazette of Colorado Springs the day after he spoke to troops at the nearby Fort Carson Army Post and attended a campaign rally. The ad said, shot his friend in the face after drinking, just one more reason to vote yes on 44. Cheney, well, we know what he did. They were both in town, and they're simply taking this opportunity to draw attention to the fact that alcohol contributes to far more problems than marijuana, said Mason Tebert, the group's campaign director. I wonder if Tebert's a pervert. White House spokesman Tony Snow asked for a comment aboard Air Force One as Bush headed to Texas after the rally, dismissed the ads as kind of snarky and juvenile. I'm not sure they did their cause much good, he said. Referendum 44, which is on tomorrow's ballot, which would allow adults to carry up to an ounce of marijuana, similar to an ordinance Denver voters approved last year. No other state allows pot possession for anything other than medical use. Federal law also prohibits possession. A recent poll of 625 registered voters by Mason-Dixon Polling and Research found 34% of voters support the measure, 57% opposed it. How do you like that? Bunch of Yahoo rednecks.
Mm-hmm.
Probably smoking the carpet. Probably smoking each other. Probably smoking the sausage. 959 votes on the poll. Well, what a dumbass to miss his flight. Can you believe that? And wouldn't you think there'd be a flight back in the morning? I mean, I just maybe that's when his flight was and he missed it. Maybe he overslept from the stress of all that partying and the big celebration after that Dolphin victory over the Bears.
Yeah, I'm thinking he had too many green lizards, as he would say.
That could be it. Yeah. Now, see, there you go again. You just want to rub it in just because Hank keeps calling you a dumbass. What do you care what Hank calls you? He's going to be dead pretty soon anyway if he doesn't stop eating. Stop the eating already. My God, he's humongous. Maybe it's just the TV. Maybe it's just my set, because it's a big screen. How did he look on your set, Josh? Of course, you got a big one, too. Screen.
Yes, I do.
How did he look?
He looked, like he does here.
Fat.
What an embarrassment.
965 votes. How important are tomorrow's elections to you? Very important, 459. Life and death, 197. They're sitting on the edge of their seat, man. They're on pins and needles. Somewhat important, 128. Not at all, 55. What, me worry, 46. Not much, 42. I just hate 31, and I hate this poll, 7. You see that, now that we separated that and divided by golly? I hate the poll, 7, but I just hate 31 in general. And that's the Florida effing way, if you ask me. They just hate.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
This is the Neil Rogers Show. This is your brain. Any questions?
Everybody hates everybody all the time.
Absolutely.
That's the way of life in Florida. I have no life. Foreheads pop with veins in anger. In hostile bedroom now. Everybody hates everybody all the time. Driving on intolerance and fear. It's where disenfranchised congregate, and they don't want to hear. You'll find their attitudes quite sour. With a machete, they threaten to slice you to the bone. Then, in the gridlock of rush hour, out the window, someone calls you Matacone. Everybody hates everybody all the time. No habla English, dinky-dinky-doo. Something in the breeze is wafting from Pompano.
It's 11:01 at 560 WQAM. Happy Monday, November 6th, the day after my birthday, the day before Election Day. Boy, it's like a big day sandwich.
Okay.
Or something like that. Horace Greeley, by the way, in case you really wanted to know, and maybe you didn't, but I'll tell you anyway.
I kind of did, yeah.
Was an American editor of a leading newspaper, founder of the Republican Party, reformer and politician. His New York Tribune was America's most influential newspaper from 1840 to 1870. He used it to promote the Whig and Republican parties, the Whig Party. I wonder if Mo was a member. As well as anti-slavery and host of reforms. But when you stop back and think about that piece that he used to wear, wow. It puts a smile on your face, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, a grin.
Crusading against the corruption of Ulysses S. Grant's Republican administration, he was the presidential candidate in 1872 of a new liberal Republican Party. Despite having the additional support of the Democratic Party, he lost in a landslide. Horace Greeley. He was born in Amherst, New Hampshire, the son of a poor farmer. He declined a scholarship to Phillips Exeter Academy and left school at age 14. He apprenticed as a printer, moving to New York in 1831. In 1834, he founded the weekly The New Yorker, which was mostly comprised of clippings from other magazines. Like our website. In 1836, Greeley married Mary Cheney Greeley. Oh, wow. Mary Cheney Greeley, a sometime suffragette. Horace Greeley spent as little time as possible with his wife and would sleep in a boarding house when in New York City. Of their 7 children, only 2 daughters reached maturity. And it goes on and on. Greeley supported liberal policy towards settlers. He memorably advised the ambitious to go west, young man. Though the phrase originally was written by John Soule in the Terre Haute Express in 1851, it's most often attributed to Greeley, like I said. A champion of the working man, he attacked monopolies of all sorts and rejected land grant. Oh, I guess who was a vegetarian? River Penis.
Yeah, look what good it did him.
Yeah, he was Jewish. A champion of the working man, he attacked monopolies of all sorts and rejected land grants to railroads. Industry would make everyone rich, he insisted, as he promoted high tariffs. He supported vegetarianism, opposed liquor, and paid serious attention to any ism anyone proposed. What made the Tribune such a success was the extensive news stories, very well written by brilliant reporters, New York Tribune, which he founded, together with feature articles by fine writers. When the new Republican Party was founded in 1854, Greeley made the Tribune its unofficial national organ and fought slavery extension and the slave power on every page. On the eve of the Civil War, circulation nationwide approached 300,000. His editorials and news reports explaining the policies of the candidates of the Whig Party were reprinted and discussed throughout the country. Many small newspapers relied heavily on the reporting editorials of the Tribune. He served as congressman for 3 months, 1848 to 49, but failed in numerous other attempts to win elective office. In Reconstruction, he took an erratic course, mostly favoring the radicals and opposing President Andrew Johnson. His personal guarantee of bail for Jefferson Davis in 1867 stunned many of his longtime readers, half of whom canceled their subscriptions. After supporting U.S. Grant in the 1868 election, Greeley broke with Grant and joined the Liberal Republican Party in 1872. To everyone's astonishment,
oh my God,
they nominated Greeley as their presidential candidate. Even more surprisingly, he won the support of many Democrats, whose party he had excoriated for decades. As a candidate, Greeley argued that Reconstruction was a success, the war was over, the Confederacy destroyed, slavery was dead. It was time to pull federal troops out of the South and let the people there run their own affairs. A weak campaigner, he was mercilessly ridiculed as a fool, an extremist, a turncoat, and a crazy man who couldn't be trusted by the Republicans. The most vicious attacks came in cartoons by Thomas Nast in Harper's Weekly. Greeley ultimately ran far behind the ticket, could only win 43% of the vote. The crushing defeat was not Greeley's only misfortune. In 1872, Greeley was among several high-profile investors who were defrauded by Philip Arnold in famous diamond and gemstone hoax. Meanwhile, as Greeley had been pursuing his political career, Whitelaw Reid, owner of the New York Herald, had gained control of the Tribune. Not long after the election, Greeley's wife died. He descended into madness and died before the electoral votes could be cast. He descended into madness, kind of like Greg Reed. In his final illness, spotting Reed... Well, that's Whitelaw Reed. That was I just got through, you weren't listening. Whitelaw Reid, owner of the Herald, had gained control of the Tribune. He descended into madness, died before the electoral votes could be cast. In his final illness, spotting Reed, that's Whitelaw, not Greg, outlaw, he cried out, "You son of a bitch, you stole my newspaper," and died cast. In his final illness, spotting Reed, that's Whitelaw, not Greg, outlaw, he cried out, "You son of a bitch, you stole my newspaper," and died at 6:50 p.m. on Friday, November 29th, 1872, at Chappaqua. Even though Greeley received no electoral votes, 3 of Georgia's electoral votes were left blank in honor of him. The Greeley home in Chappaqua, New York, now houses the Newcastle Historical Society. The local high school is named for him, and the name of the school newspapers pays homage to the 19th century paper owned by Horace Greeley. Chappaqua. And then you got Mary Cheney Greeley. Oh, my God, you see all that? And then you got Greg Reed in there, too, going crazy like that and stealing somebody's newspaper. He probably put Barry Jackass to work on it right in the sports column. 989, but we're going to have, by the time we come back from the next break, whenever that's going to be, we'll have over 1,000 votes. And then we can take a nice siesta. It's Monday, man. It's a good day for a good siesta. The American Conservative, a magazine started by Pat Buchanan to offset the overrepresentation of neoconservative thought in public debate, has taken a strong anti-Bush position this election. The article states it should surprise few readers that we think a vote that is seen in America and the world as large as a decisive no vote in the Bush presidency is important for the health of the nation. A decisive no vote. Just say
no
to the Bush, to the neocons. Since its inception, the American Conservative has taken a strong isolationist stance on most foreign policy issues. As Iraq has toppled into chaos over the years, the magazine has inveighed against the Bush team in harsher and harsher terms. In fact, this is part of their article from last week. They said next week Americans will vote for candidates who have spent much of their campaigns addressing state and local issues, but no future historian will linger over the ideas put forth for improving schools or directing funds to highway projects. The meaning of this election will be interpreted in one of two ways. The American people endorsed the Bush presidency or did what they could do to repudiate it. Such an interpretation will be simplistic, even unfairly so. Nevertheless, the fact that will matter is the raw number of Republicans and Democrats elected to the House and Senate. It should surprise few readers that we think a vote that is seen in America and the world at large as a decisive no vote on the Bush presidency is the best outcome. We need not dwell on George Bush's failed effort to jam a poorly disguised amnesty for illegal aliens through Congress, or the assaults on the Constitution carried out under the pretext of fighting terrorism, or his administration's endorsement of torture. Faced on 9/11 with a great challenge, President Bush made little effort to understand who had attacked us and why, thus ignoring the prerequisite for crafting an effective response. He seemingly did not want people to find out. He did not want to find out, and he staffed his national security team with people who either didn't want to know or were committed to a prefabricated answer. A prefabricated answer. Got that?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
You know that River Phoenix was a vegetarian?
I do now.
As a consequence, he rushed America into a war against Iraq, a war we're now losing and cannot win, one that's done far more to strengthen Islamist terrorists than anything that they could possibly have done for themselves. Bush's decision to seize Iraq will almost surely leave behind a broken state, divided into warring ethnic enclaves with hundreds of thousands killed and maimed, and thousands more thirsting for revenge against the country that crossed the ocean to attack them. The invasion failed at every level. If securing Israel was part of the administration's calculation, as the record suggests it was for several of his top aides, the result is also clear. The strengthening of Iran's hand in the Persian Gulf with a reach up to Israel's northern border and the elimination of the most powerful Arab state that might stem Iranian regional hegemony. See, there I go again. Hegemony. Every article I read today is loaded with the words that I don't understand. I understand them, I just can't read them. Can't pronounce them. Go west, young man.
It's all right. Nobody knows the difference.
The war will continue. Nobody's listening is what you're trying to say. Nobody
knows how you say those words right anyway. So
we got 1,000 votes. That's all that counts. Forget about hegemony. Screw it. It's a stupid word anyway. The war will continue as long as Bush is in office for no other reason than the feckless president can't face the embarrassment of admitting defeat. The chain of events is not complete. Bush, having learned little from his mistakes, may yet seek to embroil America in a war against Iran and Syria. There may be little Americans can do to atone for this presidency, which will stain our country's reputation for a long time. But the process of recovering our good name must begin somewhere, and the logical places in the voting booth this November 7th sounds like tomorrow to me. If we are fortunate, we can produce a result that is seen in Washington and in Peoria and the world capitals from Prague to Kuala Lumpur as a repudiation of George W. Bush and the war of aggression he launched against Iraq. On November 7th, the world will be watching as we go to the polls, seeking to ascertain whether the American people have the wisdom to try to correct a disastrous course. Posterity will know, too, if their collective decision is one that captured the attention of historians, that of a people voting again and again to endorse a leader taking a country in a catastrophic direction. The choice is in our hands. That's the idea. Like Pat Buchanan says, vote again and again. Vote early and often, man. Vote 20, 30, 40 times.
30, man.
Against these neo-fascists. 1,000 votes on the poll. Aren't you impressed? No, I know you're not. It's always the same. I always ask you, oh, by the way, Hussein was sentenced to death. They're going to hang his ass maybe.
Yeah.
Like that's supposed to really change a couple of votes. You think so?
No.
Well, like that was a surprise, you know. Oh, surprise! And, of course, in the midst of all of this, none of these talking heads in the media discuss who the hell put him in there in the first place to butcher and gas his own people. Who props up all the dictators, huh? We do.
And so who cares if they put him to death or give him a cookie? What difference does that make over here or over there?
Oh, sugar cookies, Michael, sugar cookies. Oh, that Sandy Payton Manning, boy, she was the best. Wasn't she? And, of course, everybody in the place hated her like poison at IOD.
Have a nice day.
Except, of course, for the Queen.
Never met her.
I never did either. And in fact, I was hoping to meet her, and then right when I thought I was going to get a chance to meet her, she ran off with Ann Bishop's body. Remember that?
I do.
1,002 votes on the poll. And don't forget, don't say I didn't warn you. Man, no Mad Dog today. He was a real dumbass. He missed his flight back from Chicago, so we got that from 2 to 4.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Oh, don't tell me that's the rejoin.
Okay.
Another stunt rejoin on QAM.
Anytime they see that we're lacking in the polls, they throw out a headline that will lead you by the nose.
Who say, they say, is the one to get. Now they have only one. Tater left. Don't worry about is gone. We got 'em. Now we're all comfy and safe. We got 'em. He won't attack us no more. We got 'em. Praise push like Jesus. You say 9/11 is what they got you to believe. Can't get any dumber than a one-party country. You believe what they say, like they're gullible fool as they use the state for their corporate tool. Of the election on, we got 'em. Bush has got it, you got 'em. Get down on your knees, you got 'em.
Yeah, that's their claim to fame now after all this time. They got him, and he's been sentenced to die, and they're going to hang his ass, and yada, yada, whoopie-doo. Isn't that quite an accomplishment?
Yeah, it was worth all those guys dying and all those Iraqi civilians
Right,
dying,
that's correct.
You know?
All the bloodshed and terror and devastation.
Now everything will be great, now that that conviction happens.
Let's see. CNN, their latest poll from November 3rd through 5th over the weekend, 38% going to vote Republican for Congress, 58% Democrat. And the average of all the top polls, 41% Republican, 53% Democrat, a 12-point edge for the donkeys. An automated voice at the other end of the phone asks whether you believe that judges who push homosexual marriage and create new rights like abortion and sodomy should be controlled. If your reply is yes, the voice lets you know that the Democratic candidate in the Senate race in Montana, John Tester, is not your man. In Maryland, a similar question and answer sequence suggests that only the Republican Senate candidate would keep the words "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. In Tennessee, another paints the Democrat as wanting to give foreign terrorists the same legal rights and privileges as Americans. Using a telemarketing tactic that's best known for steering consumers to buy products, the organizers of the political telephone call say they've reached hundreds of thousands of homes in 5 states over the last several weeks in a push to win votes for Republicans. Democrats say the calls present a distorted picture. No. The Ohio-based conservatives behind the new campaign, who include current and former Procter & Gamble managers, say the automated system can reach vast numbers of people at a fraction of the cost of traditional volunteer phone banks and is the most ambitious political use of telemarketing technology ever undertaken. Here's the facts. 2 great books you may want to check out, Neil. Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion and John Perkins' Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Thanks a lot, Bobby. I'm floored by that. Remember Bobby at Total Flooring?
Okay, yes.
Seems very familiar to me. Well, chronic faxers, chronic callers, but a good one. Thanks, Bobby. Like I said, don't take it personal unless you want to. Critics say the automated calls are a twist on push polls, a campaign tactic that's often criticized as deceptive because it involves calling potential voters under the guise of measuring public opinion, while the real intent is to change opinions with questions that push people in one direction or the other. They're pushing it, baby. They're pushing it. Kind of like Father Ted, man. I bet you he was pushing it. Oh, man. I have sinned. Same old crap all over again, whether it's Jimmy Swaggart or Paul's Crotch or Jim Baker or this faker, this fagger, Haggard the Faggard. Mm-hmm. Oh, and David Quo, the former number 2 official at Faith-Based Initiatives, is the first. Remember we were watching on Thursday or Friday, and they said, now let's go to CNN Faith and Values reporter. Remember that?
Yes, I was right here. And
Faith and Values reporter.
I chortled.
And I thought to myself,
oh, my God.
That's when they bring on these ethicists.
Right.
Like, what makes you an ethicist?
She'd be smart.
I see.
David Quo, whose bestseller, Tempting Faith, about the dangers of mixing politics and evangelicals, said he met Ted Haggard only a few times, but he says this episode has saddened him nonetheless, especially the headline-grabbing fallout of Haggard's admissions. At the end of the day, this comes down to bringing Jesus into politics, he said. Right now it's not Ted Haggard on trial, it's Jesus. This is about the God he represents. When you make yourself a public figure when you fall, you bring the perception of your God with you. Jim Dobson's response was particularly telling, Quo said, of the unctuous leading evangelical James Dobson, a real Farbissen. He basically blamed the controversy on gays and Democrats. When evangelical leaders can't see beyond Tuesday in any question, what on earth is happening, Quo says. Quo says the New Life Church was the starting place of many evangelical pastors who fanned out across the country, and Haggard was their mentor. Quo's own church in the D.C. suburbs is led by former Haggard acolytes. The interconnectedness of so many congregations, along with Haggard's recently political bent, both amplify the effect of the scandal. The evangelical obsession with homosexuality makes this especially ironic. For many evangelical leaders, anything related to homosexuality is this special dark sin, but that's not what the Bible said Quo. Really, it's a sin like gossiping to your neighbor. Jesus doesn't even mention it at all. So gossip to your neighbor, then go get a, job.
All right.
Quo also says it's important to remember that this is not just a scandal or a news story, but a moment of deep pain for Haggard's congregants. Lost in all of this are the thousands of people, the Getchkes in Colorado Springs, who are desperately hurting, he says. Oh, woe is them. They're desperately hurting. Don't you feel really bad for them?
No,
they got what they deserved, okay? When you buy into a bunch of crap, you know what you get? Crap. When you buy into a bunch of bull crap, you get a bunch of crap. That's right. Amen. Politically, Quo sees a potential to reduce the evangelical vote tomorrow. I think the significance of the Haggard thing is this building case against evangelical involvement in politics. Christians are smart, he says. They can see what influence politics is having. Oh, Christians are smart. Wow. You ever meet a smart Christian? Sounds like an oxymoron to me. It's like saying that anybody who believes in any religion is smart. Not dumb, like Fredo. Smart.
I met a lot of smart people that pretended to be a Christian because it was expedient. You know?
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says.
No.
Like dumb, but smart, and I want respect.
How about one more Hail Mary, Fredo? Come on, that'll do it. See, if you get people to perform rituals, man, then you got them. Crossing themselves, doing their Hail Marys, whatever it is. Wearing the beanie on your head.
All of these things.
Ever see a queenie wearing a beanie?
Yeah.
Paul Lieb wants to know on commondreams.org, is there meth in Ted Haggard's heaven? What a meth we weave when we practice to the thief. Is there meth in Ted Haggard's heaven? Does it rot your teeth? In his 2005 Barbara Walters interview, Haggard says you can eat all the food you want and in heaven and never gain weight. Oh, I want to go there now. Can you shoot all the meth you want and never lose your teeth or grow emaciated? What about unprotected sex with gay prostitutes? Do you get divine protection against AIDS? Or only if you give regular spiritual advice to the president and help the Republicans blame gays for America's family problems? Now that Haggard's been outed by a gay prostitute for having sex with him and buying meth and has resigned as president of the National Association of Evangelicals, I wonder what it'll take for the good people in the pews to call leaders like Haggard, Jerry Falwell, and James Dobson to account for their mean-spirited hypocrisy, and maybe even to approach the world with more forgiveness and less vindictiveness. I hope they won't just move on to other seductive leaders who similarly project their fears and flaws on whomever they choose to demonize. It might be too much to hope, but maybe this is an opportunity for the rest of us to reach out to those who call themselves born-again Christians and challenge them to listen a bit more closely to the Jewish preacher whose vision men like Haggard, Falwell, and Dobson routinely profane. Maybe they could even find some other lessons in those biblical texts to set their course by, lessons that genuinely are prophetic voices like Desmond Tutu, Jim Wallace, and Martin Luther King. They have made a core vision that actually promotes human dignity instead of trampling it. A lot of typos in that story. A lot of mistakes. And like I'm supposed to, as I'm going along, correct the mistakes and sound like coherent in what I'm talking about? No. Yeah. But like you said, nobody's paying any attention anyway. So what difference does it make? What point? As long as this voice is here, baby, like that jackass Roger Houston at the Meadows. The voice. What an ego. What a pompous ass. What's the word? I'm a dumbass. That's the word of the day, dumbass. No, you ought to demand equal time, Josh. You ought to go in there and jump up and down on the counter in front of, I'll go in the control room when Hank is on.
It's only right, isn't it?
That's correct. And say, if I'm a dumbass because I'm Mr. Flight, how come the Mad Dog ain't a dumbass, okay? And the Humper will look right at you and say, hey, guess what, you ain't no Mad Dog. Isn't that what he'd say?
Something like that.
Or he'd say, bring in some of those donuts. Yeah, the ones with the sprinkles, the ones that Denny Hastert didn't eat yet. If you haven't seen that picture on that cartoon on our website, by the way, it's not really a cartoon. It's a picture. It's well worth taking a puke at, if you ask me, don't you think? I mean, it's been on there a long time.
Sure.
But if anybody missed it, it's right under sex crimes in the Vatican, which I think is a perfect spot for it, a perfect position. Doesn't look like any, what's his name? Mark Foley's in a perfect position, at least for him anyway. Maybe not for that kid. They were just wrestling. Isn't that what it's all about? It's a wrestling picture.
Yeah, it's a sports thingy.
And Miss Foley is saying, relax, Dennis, just teaching the kid to wrestle. Try the donuts with the sprinkles.
The biggest names of best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
How young is too young?
About 30, man.
We are going to break down your door, fire our guns, apprehend and torture you. If you do not adhere, we will make you disappear, unless you do exactly what we want you. We're going to pull out your nail, put screws in your skull, ram a glow stick up your tube. The torture bill has been passed, they're pushing everything out, and there's not a stinking thing that you can do.
Tube.
Hey, liberal! Praise Bush as your Lord and King, or you will go to detention camp if you do not agree. Who step in line and join the brown shirt right, or I will make you disappear tonight. We're going to poke in your eyes, pull out your tongue, drive a spike into your feet and hand. You better watch what you say. Watch TV, won't obey, or else we'll make you disappear, because we can. Perhaps we'll beat you with a rubber hose again. Or dump you on the board until you're dead. All right.
Dumbass. 11:32 at 560 WQM. By the way, George, you got another assignment today. Switch that poll this afternoon. Here's a fax from Russell who says, I beg your pardon?
I said I'll set a reminder.
Russell says, happy birthday. Thanks, Russell. If pro is the opposite of con, then what is the opposite of progress? Oh, I got the answer for that. It's called QAM. Anyway, I'm off to the FLM factory tour again. Samples, man, says Russell. Free samples. I moved from South Florida so I could hear you at 7 in the morning. He's out there in Vegas. He's at FLM. So, being as impressionable as I am, I Googled FLM because they are great candies. Very expensive, though, man. Molto caro. Very expensive. You ever had FLM candy?
Yeah, when we were in Vegas.
No. They have the FLM. I think there's one right by where what was that cheesy casino we stayed at the first time?
The Imperial Palace?
Imperial Palace. There's an FLM, or at least there used to be next to it. And then in the Stardust inside, they got an FLM shop. Oh, yeah.
There was an FLM outlet.
The only problem with that isn't they tear the Stardust down, I believe, or they're they're doing the process. There was a what?
Inside the Imperial Palace, there's a little FLM shop.
Oh, brother. So I Googled it, and I'm looking for the one that I just absolutely love because I'm a toffee lunatic. They have the one candy that they make that I just go crazy over. And it comes to find out, famous almond butter crisps. Oh, God. Woo! Almond butter crisps. You know what I'm talking about? They're like, they're toffee. They're like little squares.
Yeah, I know.
Chocolate-covered toffee. You like coffee. I love toffee. So anyway, I just got off that page real fast. Thank God. Thanks, Russell, but you go to FLM and enjoy it, okay? I don't want to, balloon up like some people I know. Oh. Seriously, I was very depressed. I was aghast. It's like the man is just out of control. He's just ballooning up and ballooning up. You can just see the guy. Remember years ago, maybe you don't remember long enough, when they used to have those, what do they call those things, to inflate when your tire pressure would go down and you keep one in your trunk?
Tire gauge.
No, not a tire gauge.
Oh, the Fix-A-Flat.
It was like a pump.
Okay, it's a pump, an air pump.
It had a hose, and you'd stick and you'd pump up air into your tire when your tire pressure would go down.
Air pump.
Something like that. It's some kind of an air pump. But anyway, it looks like somebody is using one of those and inflating the humper. My God.
That was funny.
It had to be my TV set. Nobody could be that gigantic. Wait till you hear this. Speaking of all these bits that we've been playing, thanks to your prodding about fascist USA and all this, and knock on your door and all these other paranoid exclamations. A plan to fingerprint elementary school students when they buy lunch has some parents worrying that Big Brother has come to the cafeteria. The Hope Elementary School District in Santa Barbara, California, has notified parents that beginning this month, students at Monte Vista, Vieja Valley, and Hope Elementary Schools will press an index finger to a scanner before buying cafeteria food. Maybe we ought to send them to the Cafeteria Santeria. The scan will call up the student's names and student ID, teacher's name, and how much the student owes. Since some receive government assistance for food, it's meant to speed up cafeteria lines. It raises sanitary issues, privacy issues. It's kind of Orwellian, said Tina Dabby, a parent of 2 at Monte Vista Elementary. It sounds kind of creepy, she says. Currently, the information is written on paper and transferred to computers so reports can be compiled and sent to the state and federal governments, which reimburse school districts for the subsidized lunches served. It's so archaic to transfer something from a sheet of paper to a computer day by day, Hope School Superintendent Jerry Fawcett told the Santa Barbara News Press. A similar procedure is already in use in the Santa Barbara School District, where students punch a 6-digit number into a keypad that calls up their name, photo, and other details, including whether they have any food allergies. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
In the awful state. Here's a little birthday card from Liz. Thank you, Liz. Happy birthday, phone to your non-existent female listeners. I'll keep listening as long as you and George keep talking. And what does it say? It says, thanks, Liz. Of course, I've never gotten an Arbitron diary. Well, we wish you'd get a whole bunch of them for you and the whole family, Liz, or for a bunch of people you make up, whatever.
On the cover of this card is Cheney holding a shotgun.
All right. Well, he's going out there tomorrow.
Liz sends presents.
Bulldog daughter, I beg your pardon?
A whole bunch of DVDs for vous et moi. So I'll be sending them along
what are they?
With Boca. Oh, like Walmart, The Real Cost, a lot of stuff that you've probably seen and some that you haven't. Iraq for Sale, Stolen Congress, Walmart.
Great, send them along.
I will.
On the
Unconstitutional,
street.
War on Our Civil Rights, Who Killed John O'Neill.
Wow.
Uncovered the whole truth about the war in Iraq.
Great, well, like I said, send them along.
All of these things.
And I'm sending you Match Point, thanks to Amazon.com.
Right, got a lot of watching to do.
Match Point, and, maybe you and Josh can watch it together.
Okay.
Doug Thompson writes, for this election, here's mud in everyone's eye. You know, Doug Thompson, CapitalBlue.com, one of your very favorite columnists. I sure turned your ass around on that website. Boy, I used to hate that thing. Or at least I used to say it. I don't know why I said it and what that was all about. But I say a lot of crap. You know, when you got 4 hours a day and you don't take any stupid calls.
When you're full of it, it just
ask me if I miss those calls.
No,
it's a waste of time. I mean, if you don't eventually, no matter how slow you are or lazy or whatever, sooner or later you got to catch on. You know what I'm saying? Sooner or later, like the grassroots used to say, and like Chicken Neck said. Yeah, sooner or later you got to catch on, get with the program. Doug Thompson says, an old rule of politics used to say, go positive in the final days of the campaign, but in today's politics, rules are made to be broken. Here we are the day before a bitterly contested midterm election, and the mud is still flying through a barrage of attack ads that are booked through the time the polls close tomorrow. Here in Virginia, the Senate campaign between Republican incumbent George McCockowitz Allen and Democratic challenger Jim Webb is one of the dirtiest I've seen in more than 40 years of covering politics as a journalist and working inside the political system as an operative. Allen, an incumbent thought safe just a few months ago, may go down tomorrow because of his personal bigotry and professional corruption. His stumble started when he called a native Virginian of Indian descent macaca, and increased when former classmates at the University of Virginia came forward to reveal Allen's racist rhetoric while attending college. That might have been forgivable had not Allen continued his racist ways after entering politics. I've heard him call African Americans niggers in 1984 and again in 1991. Others have since come forward to reveal a long history of racism and bigotry by the Virginia senator. But Allen is also a crook. An AP investigation revealed he took millions in stock options from companies he helped while governor of Virginia. Then he tried to cover it up by failing to report the options on his financial disclosure reports. You'd never know that Allen is the corrupt racist, though, based on his unrelenting attacks on Webb over novels the Democrat wrote 14 years ago. Allen's campaign ads, paid for by the National Republican Senatorial Committee, accused Webb of sexually demeaning attitude toward women and even being a deviant because his novels contained some steamy sex scenes. Steamy and seamy. I've read Webb's novels. He's a hell of a writer, and books about dealing with the stress of Vietnam hits home to those who were there. The scenes about how veterans treated wives and girlfriends after returning from that war are frighteningly real. But what a novelist writes a decade and a half ago is hardly important, and the fact that Allen is using it shows the desperation of his campaign and the depths to which the Republicans are willing to sink to try to hold on to power. Allen's racism in college might have been his old story as well had he not continued to use racial epithets as a state legislator and candidate for Congress. This is an election where Republicans have dug deep into the mud to smear the opposition. The blatantly racist ad the Republican National Committee ran against Gerald Ford in Tennessee sought to stir up Southern stereotypes of black men chasing white women and played on the fears of the ignorant that make up so much of the GOP base. On Meet the Press yesterday, North Carolina Senator Elizabeth Dole sucker-punched her Democratic colleagues by claiming a Democratic victory on Tuesday was a victory for terrorists and other enemies of the U.S., a charge so slanderous that civility on the show evaporated, and host Tim Russert tried vainly to call a timeout. The Democrats can't claim the high road. They've launched vicious attack ads based on misleading information as well, as my own review of ads by both sides showed the GOP with a 3-to-1 edge in slinging the mud. If Republicans manage to hold on to power tomorrow, and the odds say they won't, they'll owe that victory to running the most sleazy, vile, lies-filled campaign I've witnessed in 46 years. Let's hope the voters see through the mud, the lies, and the sleaze. If they do, tomorrow could be the first step to taking our government back from the crooks and returning it to the people. Okay, we're holding our breath, dog. Let me know when I can exhale when it's safe. 1,072 votes on the poll. I think we're going to have like 1,100 by noon. Ain't that good? 11 by 12?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the size of Hank's.
Rectum.
Like 11 by 12.
The biggest names, the best talent.
Come on, Humper.
This is
Lose it now.
Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Just Hank Goldberg, it's a hippopotamus.
People, I don't know why you're upset. Flew my private jet to the third world. Just like Brangelina, I adopted a baby. This kid just won the lottery, but you think it's for publicity. I care about the kids, keep the cameras rolling. Please, people don't preach, I'm his new mommy. People don't preach, 'cause I've got money. So I stand on the line, I'm taking this baby. A new African baby. People don't preach, I'm a good mommy. People don't preach, I've got the best nanny. People don't preach, oh, I'm gonna take this baby. Ooh, his dad will put him in a movie.
I got the perfect name for that kid, by the way. Anthony. Wouldn't that be a good name?
Oh, for that kid.
Anthony, yeah.
So what kid? Oh, yeah, but
11:47, 13 till noon. We got Geldy for the Mad Dog, who was a real dumbass and missed his flight back and didn't get back in time to work today. Well, I think I'm going to try that scam tomorrow, George.
okay, missed your flight?
Yeah, I missed my cab ride back from Woodbine.
Nobody will believe that because we all know you can fly under your own power.
Don't forget to change that poll around whenever you feel like it. It wouldn't surprise me. I already. Oh yeah, the new one's already up there for tomorrow. How do you like that? So whenever the mood strikes you, like 4, 5, 6. Ohio absentee ballots scanned early. Cuyahoga County election officials began scanning absentee ballots today with the judge's permission, despite a request by state officials that counties hold off until Election Day. About 70,000 ballots needed to be scanned in the county, the state's most populous. Cuyahoga Elections Director Michael Vu said his office was determined to get through all of them today, even if it took till midnight. Franklin County, which includes Columbus, also started scanning absentee ballots today, officials said. Counties wanted to begin tabulating the ballots early because of a large volume turned in under a new state law liberalizing absentee voting. The Ohio Secretary of State's office. I'm starting to get choked up now that I looked at that Ethel M's. Those almond butter crunch or whatever those things were. Oh, God. Those things are just, they should be against the law. The Ohio Secretary of State's office initially directed counties not to scan absentee ballots before tomorrow, but Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Judge Dan Gall ruled Friday that all 88 counties could start today as long as security precautions were taken. He sure got a lot of gall, don't he? On Saturday, the Secretary of State's office said counties must secure access to scanning locations, ensure that 2 bipartisan overseers control absentee ballots, and that totals not be disclosed until polls close tomorrow. Secretary of State Ken Blackwell, the state's chief elections official and crook, is the Republican candidate for governor. He's responsible for a lot of the bloodshed in the world today. He helped to fix that damn Ohio election in 2004, Ken Blackwell. Another self-hating dark guy, just like those self-hating Jews and self-hating fags. There's just so much of that going on. And as more and more of that closet door keeps flying open, we find out about all those Republicans, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Hip-hop worshippers hope to spread the rap. All right. First came the hip-hop mass, then a hip-hop prayer book, and now a group of hip-hop Christians are hoping to spread the word across the U.S. with a new CD that puts their service to music. Can you believe it? New York Episcopal priest the Reverend Timothy Holder, he's holding it, who goes by the rap name Papa T, created the hip-hop E-Mass 2 years ago after an armed hostage situation in the South Bronx church made him focus on the neighborhood's younger generations. Papa T. How about popping a zit? Using rap music in the hip-hop vernacular, he got the attention of some teenagers and young adults, going on to hold about 75 hip-hop-inspired services around the country over the past 2 years, attracting from 12 to several thousand people. But he hopes the CD produced by his rap flock will be used as the basis for more services. His rap flock. If you don't have an altar in the street, you have nothing, Holder, a white middle-aged priest of 9 years standing told Reuters. Don't get me wrong, he said. We're not replacing or substituting the Bible. We're bringing the story of the Bible to a younger generation and making it immediate and upfront. The CD titled And the Word Was Hip Hop EMAS, features about 13 songs including I Am Hip Hop, God Is in the House, and One Mic, One Life, One Love. What? Holders among a growing number of religious leaders to use holy hip-hop to reach the younger generation, melding religion with language, dress, and dance moves of the culture that was born on the streets of the Bronx about 30 years ago. Hip-hop worshippers hope to spread the rap. They're rapping it, baby. They're rapping it in saran wrap. I sure hope they wrap it carefully. What the hell is that?
It's One Love.
No. One Love?
Just one. A little one. Can you name this group?
One Glove.
That's all you
No.
get. It's Carpenters.
Well, if you would let it play, I could have told you that.
Oh,
Karen,
come on.
My God. But right in the middle, she's like in the first half of the first. Can you name that group? And he chops it off. You are. I guarantee you've never been down and name that tune.
I'd mop the floor with that game show, and I used to too when I was a little kid.
Tom Kennedy named that tune. Wasn't he the host?
I don't remember that. I remember all the tunes.
Name that tune. Whatever happened? Well, first of all, there's almost no game shows on, real ones anymore.
Oh, there's that Deal or No Deal.
Like I said, there's no more real game shows.
And The Price
Except
is Right
the Price
is,
is Right.
going
well,
off.
it's still over with old Bobby Barker, who's outlived two of his announcers. That's just amazing.
Right. And he just announced he was going to retire. How come you didn't mention that?
He did?
Yeah. How could you miss that story?
Get out of here. Bob Barker is retiring?
Bob Barker is retiring.
Yes.
Even Josh knows it, and
yeah.
I don't know. Where the hell have I been hiding?
Up in Canada in a cave.
What a dumbass.
Well, so much for that check. I'll just cash it.
And you can enjoy a delicious meal while vacationing in beautiful Scotland. You and a guest will fly a round-trip coach from Los Angeles to Glasgow, Scotland for a 6-night stay at a luxury hotel. Enjoy the grandeur of the city's surroundings, restaurants, and museums. And Linda, this showcase can be yours if the price is right.
Linda, I'll give you a moment to cogitate. What do you think you want to bid on that showcase?
There he is. There's Bob Barker. And the reason we put it on there is if he's going to retire, you want to hear that voice maybe one last time. When's that going to happen? About 10 years?
No, it's, at the end of whatever the current season is.
Oh, no.
This is the
no
last
more Bob
season
Barker.
for
Now
him.
they're going to continue the show without Bob, or they're going to
they'll probably try. You know how that goes.
Oh, yeah, just like, look how good it works for Family Feud.
Sure.
Maybe they can get Louis B. Anderson on there. Oh, let's see. Tom Kennedy hosted Name That Tune, 74 to 81. Kathy Lee Gifford was a vocalist on the show. Oh, God. No wonder it went off the air. And John Harlan was the announcer. See, I told you Tom Kennedy. Did I tell you that? I know my game show crap, mister. Let me tell you that right now. I know my game shows. In fact, I wonder if on a game show, let me see. You think I have the theme?
For what? Price is Right?
Name that tune.
Oh, that one.
Let's see. No. No gods. Maybe Stu
Neither.
got it. You don't got it?
Nope. Gonna have to get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go out and find it. Although I don't think it would ring any bells to me. It doesn't sound awfully familiar. I do have though this.
Price is Right.
Bob Barker just turned 100 years old. He's finally gonna hang it up, old coot. Oh, I will tell you this, in spite of the fact we turned on Dick Clark, and rightfully so. That was the best.
Maybe you turned on Dick Clark.
I turned on Dick.
You never thought much of me.
1,100 votes on the poll today. Yeah, the Pyramid was the best. Pyramid was great. And you know, remember a lot of the people used to say about, well, I don't want to go through all of that. Okay, that's old stuff again. See, it's your fault.
I know.
Your fault. Get me down to that old stuff so we can retake that poll. Oh, gee, if it had put that on there from the beginning, we'd have voted for that old stuff because here's a doddering old fool. You ought to retire like Bob Barker. Okay, when I get to be his age, I will. 1,100 votes. How old is Bob Barker? Let me Google it. How old would you say?
81.
Let's see. Wikipedia will tell us immediately.
Yes,
Born
it will.
December 12, 1923, so he's coming up on his birthday. 77 and 8 is 85. He's almost 86.
Wow.
17-time Emmy Award-winning American television game show host, and best known for hosting The Price is Right since September 4th, 1972, the longest-running daytime game show in television history. On October 31st, he announced he would retire from hosting The Price is Right, yada, 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 and haven't been in television for 50 years. October 31st. This is the first time you're mentioning it, like almost a week later?
Yeah, well, no big news to me. I don't give a rat's ass.
Get out of here. I know damn well that when I'm sitting here reading all these articles that you pretend that you care about, you're sitting there watching The Price is Right.
Oh, you are so
And don't forget to have
wrong.
your pets neutered and sprayed and spayed.
Commercial. He's happy about the outcome. Bob Barker reminding you, help control
The pet population, that's right. Have your wife neutered.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is
Should have your wife neutered, George.
Sports Radio 560 AM.
I am Frau Iliana Ross-Leitman, and I like scrubbing my smelly gorilla ass with soap made from jewels and listening to the Neil Rohe Comunista Hour.
And yet you admitted that there were these CIA secret facilities.
So what? Why is that not within the law?
The head of Amnesty International says secret sites are against international law.
Well, we disagree with him. And plus, my job is to protect you. And most American people, if I said that we had who we think's the mastermind of the 9/11, they would say, why don't you see if you can't get information out of him without torturing, which is what we did. I have the obligation to make sure that our professionals, who I would ask to go, conduct interrogations to find out what might be happening, who might be coming to this country. I got to give them the tools they need, and that is clear law.
This is an important point, and I think
the point I just made is the most important point, and that is the program is not going forward. David, you can give a hypothetical about North Korea or any other country. The point is that the program is not going to go forward if our professionals do not have clarity in the law, and the best way to provide clarity in the law is to make sure the Detainee Treatment Act is the crux of the law. That's how we define Common Article 3, and it sets a good standard for the countries that you just talked about. Next man. Common Article 3 says that there will be no outrages upon human dignity. It's very vague. What does that mean? Outrages upon human dignity. What does that mean?
12:02 at 560 WQAM. Tomorrow's your chance to just say to Bush and the neocons. That's what it's all about. Every race, even for dog catcher. Those people will say, well, Bush isn't on the ballot tomorrow. Sure he is. He's on every single race.
That's right.
He's on every race except the human one. A radio talk show host was fired Friday after he made a derogatory comment about the weight and sexuality of the Green Rainbow Party candidate running for governor of Massachusetts.
Is he a fat bag or something?
WRKO pulled host John DePietro from the air after he made comments Thursday. It was announced Friday he was fired at it. In the context of what he said and the tone in which he said it, the comments were completely inappropriate, derogatory, and will not be tolerated, said Jason Wolf, the vice president of AM programming and operations for station's owner, Entercom Boston. DePietro had apologized for his remarks about candidate Grace Ross. He didn't immediately return the email request for comment Friday. Ross, who was openly gay, laughed when she heard about it, but said the comment was offensive. Big and fat, I guess that's supposed to be his way of saying he doesn't like somebody, she said. He called her a big fat dyke. After hearing DePietro had been fired, she said, I think the comment was offensive in general, so I hope that many people in the state were offended by it will help set a standard of what political debate is supposed to be about. DePietro had also been reprimanded by station management in July for using a slur often aimed at homosexuals in reference to Matt Amorello, the former chairman of the Massachusetts Turnpike Authority. How do you like that?
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt that terminating John's employment was the right action to take, Wolf said. Just because he called her a big fat dyke, maybe she is a big fat dyke. How do you like that? Maybe the other guy from the Turnpike Authority is some kind of a silly, simpering faggot. Who the hell knows? Yeah, right. 1,126 votes on the poll, including 39 who just hate. They just hate. Not the poll, they just, they hate. Only 9 people hate the poll. That's not too bad when only 9. And how can you hate the poll? It's a freaking election, you morons. A retired priest. So Bob Barker is going to retire, huh? Wow. That is really... That means if I win the $36 million lotto on Wednesday, maybe I won't be such a dumbass.
Maybe.
Huh.
You'll be a smart ass.
I bet you there'll be some people who have, like, second thoughts about that.
Josh.
Thinking, boy, I wonder when that envelope is coming with that big fat one in it.
Well, you could always just send him an envelope.
Yeah, just going to send you a blank envelope. Say, hey, guess what? I won the lotto, 649. I won $36 million, tax-free.
You could throw some confetti in there.
Yeah, throw a bunch of stuff in there. Say, hey, aren't you happy for me? A retired priest committed suicide by setting himself on fire in a German monastery in protest at the spread of Islam and the Protestant Church's inability to contain it. Ronald Weisselberg, or is that Wieselberg? I'm sure it is. 73 poured a can of petrol over his head and said light to himself in the grounds of the Augustine Monastery in the eastern city of Erfurt. Erfurt, where Martin Luther spent 6 years as a monk at the beginning of the 16th century, long time ago. The monk's in, man. I really missed that bad. Witnesses said that Wieselberg climbed into a building site next to the monastery church where a Reformation Day service was being held. He shouted, "Jesus and Oscar," before the flames engulfed him. Oscar? He must have seen The Odd Couple. Oh, and speaking of old themes...
Sancho.
Now, did you ever see the movie about, what's his name or not?
Yes. It was
pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't true, it was pretty good.
Well, nothing he said was true, but at least it was kind of amusing.
It was entertaining.
The latter name, Oscar, was an apparent reference to Oskar Brusewitz, a priest who burned himself in 1976 in protest against the communist regime in East Germany. Monastery staff tried to put out the flames on Wieselberg, and he was still conscious as a nun prayed with him before he was taken to hospital. He died last Wednesday, a day later. He was... And then again, aren't most priests kind of like...
Are you sure?
Yeah. Media reports said he had tried to kill himself inside the church, but changed his mind when he found that the side door was locked. The provost of Erfurt, Elfried Bechricht, told reporters that Wieselberg's widow had said that he killed himself because he was alarmed at the spread of Islam and the church's stance on the issue. She described Wieselberg as an erudite man who had addressed repeatedly the church's position on Islam in meetings over the past 3 to 4 years. He had written to her urging her to take the matter more seriously. What are we going to do about these schmata heads? The Protestant Bishop of Saxony, Axel Noack, said the suicide has shocked the community and that he hoped it wouldn't hurt relations between Christians and Muslims. Yeah, you know how sensitive they are. They get very uptight.
Yeah, they're touchy.
We in the East are still among ourselves when we discuss Islam, said Bishop Noack, adding that there weren't many Muslims in the area, thanks God. Relations with Muslims have been a matter of intense debate in Germany in recent months, stoked by the cancellation of the Mozart opera in Berlin amid fears it could provoke Muslim violence, and a speech by Pope Paparazzi in September in which he quoted from a medieval text linking the spread of Islamic faith to violence. The Berlin Deutsche Opera said it will stage the opera, which has a scene showing the severed heads of the Prophet Muhammad, Jesus, and Buddha. At least they give equal time anyway, for Christ's sakes. The severed heads. Don't forget, you'll enjoy Match Point. And that's the best you can do in the midst of all this crap. That's why it's so good that I read all this insanity every day to show you that the world is a crazy place full of crazy people. Crazy people. That's what it's all about. Rising affluence has made about 60 million Chinese, equal to the population of France, obese, state media said today. Fat Chinese. I used to think, like, you see the sumo wrestlers are Japanese. There's some fat Japanese. But usually you think of Chinese as being skinny.
And most Japanese are thin, except for the sumos, who go to great lengths to get that big.
Right. Or maybe that's what Hank aspires to be. Maybe just go to Japan. Maybe you talk him into it.
That was funny.
Xinhua News Agency quoted Pan Belay, a deputy director with the government-affiliated State Food and Nutrition Consultant Committee. I wonder if he or she is kin to Eric Belay, the great Italian harness racing driver, as saying that worsening diets had led to health problems, including obesity. An increasing number of Chinese are eating more fat and junk food, but less grains and vegetables, leading to a high number of cases of high blood pressure and diabetes. Pan was quoted as telling a conference on food consumption and health in Beijing. Pan said a widening wealth gap meant that increase in the number of obese people came as 24 million people in China still live in abject poverty and suffer malnutrition, narrowing the regional income gap. In fact, that's what you ought to do every day. You get all that free food in there, like you got again today, and you were chomping on shamelessly earlier. You ought to go on the air and say, hey, if there's any starving people out there, come to the studios and we'll throw you some scraps out the door.
No.
Narrowing the regional income gap will help improve the diet of people in poverty-stricken areas, Pan said. I wonder if he's akin to Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the poor eating habits, according to the Ministry of Health Statistics, last year 160 million Chinese had high blood pressure, up from 90 million in 91, and 20 million had diabetes. And I guarantee you, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. It's not good to get diabetes. Let me tell you right now, I sure know about it. Although I did have a pint of ice cream yesterday. It was a bad idea. It was a bad idea. What? It was New York Super Fudge Chunk, Ben & Jerry's, and you know what? It stunk. I hate that. I don't even like it. I don't even like it.
Oh, that makes it better.
Well, no, I should have got my banana nut, but I don't want to keep getting that because then you're hooked on it and you don't want to keep getting it. It's like you maybe doing a little heroin now and then instead of smoking all that dope all the time.
I'm saving heroin for when I'm old and in a wheelchair.
Oh, next week?
What else are you going to do? Yeah, exactly.
1,138 votes. I think we'll have 12. We got 13 licked today, don't we? We got 1,300 licked. Won't it be a good number? Maybe it'll be a real good number, machine number 13 today. I don't think so. Voted best massage and personal trainer for the years 2000, 2001, and 2002 by readers of the community newspaper Outfront Colorado begins the personal ad for Mike Jones, the escort who revealed they had sex with evangelical leader, the now disgraced and finally admitted the unctuous Reverend Ted Haggard. He was looking pretty haggard this weekend, I'll tell you that. Hag rhymes with
gay.
Fag. Jones, whose revelation subsequently led to Haggard's confession that he enjoyed a massage and bought methamphetamines, he was massaging his ego, baby. Or maybe he still has a bio at AOL Hometown, and they put it on here on the Raw Story, no less. It was pretty raw. Is this Raw Story? Well, yeah, it is. And there's pictures of this queen here. I offer a deep tissue and Swedish style. I do like Swedish meatballs, I'll tell you that. Not his.
No, who doesn't?
God. Can you believe that Tom Brady had 3 balls tipped in the game last night? I thought, I knew he was really good, but when he got 3 balls, and then he had a 4th one picked. I offer a deep tissue and Swedish-style massage for the pleasure of the man in mind, Jones writes in his profile. If you like a strong muscle man to bring pleasure to you, then please call me. I'm a muscle stud with a friendly personality and a caring heart, a caring part. When the Broadway show plays in town, the cast and crew call upon me for a massage. When the Broadway show plays in town. All right. Maybe he even sings them some show tunes, you think? Wow.
You fairy.
He is gross. Goes to show you. I give him credit, though, when anybody looks in the mirror and sees that they got that crater-faced and like all falling apart and ugly, and got a really nasty, shapeless body, too, when you come right down to it. Anyway, you'll enjoy Match Point. You'll like, what's her name, Scarlett Johansson, and I like Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
I could just watch her walk around and stuff.
Well, you will.
Good.
You'll see lots of her in there, and then you'll understand why he becomes so smitten with her. I mean, just so smitten that you'll be schmitten.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Well, at least he had good taste anyway, although his wife was kind of mean. But he married into a very wealthy family, very rich. Isn't that the way to do it? See, the real way to do it would be, and of course, nothing in life is perfect, but if you can marry into a real wealthy family that's some hot chick, then you really got it made. That's the way to do it. Like Josh, for example, his Russian girlfriend, I bet you her family is just loaded.
Well, not with money.
Are they loaded?
Well, the Russian.
With vodka.
Oh. That's what I meant. Dumbass. 12:13 at QAM.
The biggest names of best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Hey, boys and girls, it's me, Terrell Owens. It's time for T.O.'s Fair Tale. Here's one of my favorites. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner. Wide open all day long, single coverage, and Drew Bledsoe can't even get the ball to him. I'm open, man, I'm open!
Wait, that's not how Little Jack Horner goes.
Well, that's because they T.O.'s Fair Tale. Here's another one. Simple Simon met a pieman who couldn't cover the taller, stronger, more athletic Terrell Owens. Nobody can cover me, not even Champ Bailey.
Who's Champ Bailey?
Damn right. Who do you think he is? Who Champ Bailey? Who do you think he is?
Theo, you're scaring me.
Check this one out. Little Miss Muppet sat on the tuffet, bored off her ass because Bill Parcells wants to run the ball all game. Folks don't come to the stadium to see that. They want to see T.O. run the post pattern to the end zone and score a touchdown. Shut up. Here's a short one. Bye-bye, black sheep. I want to be traded. Number 81 is out of here. I don't need y'all. I don't want y'all. I'm out, man.
That guy's a head case.
From 19 at 560. That could be the Cowboys that lost to the Redskins on the last-minute field goal yesterday, 22-19, could it?
That was pretty sweet.
Just when they thought that they were going to kick the game-winning field goal. Oh, blocked, sorry, and then there's that penalty on top of it. 1,157 votes on the poll. Guess who died, George? Somebody you never heard of.
Okay.
Ernestine Gilbreth Carey.
Who?
Whose lighthearted memoir, Cheaper by the Dozen, detailed the frenetic life of a family with 12 children and inspired several films, has died. And she was only 98. I wonder what she died from.
She was a spring chicken.
Carey died of natural causes Saturday at St. Agnes Medical Center in Fresno, California, her son, Charles Carey Jr., said. Cheaper by the Dozen, which Carey co-wrote with her brother Frank Gilbreth, became a bestseller when it was published in 1948. See, here's another old coot with old crap again. Old crap. Really old. The book documented the adventures of the Gilbreth clan, which included 6 sons and 6 daughters, and parents Lillian Moeller Gilbreth and Frank Bunker Gilbreth, management experts who focused on the science of motion study and industrial efficiencies. Cheaper by the Dozen was adapted into film starring Clifton Webb, Gene Crane, Myrna Loy in the early 50s, and was remade in 2003 with Steve Martin and Bonnie Hunt. A sequel followed in 2005. I didn't see it, but if Steve Martin was in it, you know it sucked. The siblings also co-wrote Bells on Their Toes, which was also turned into a film. She had only 2 children herself after taking care of younger siblings for much of her life when her father died while she was still a teenager. The third of a family's 12 children, she outlived 9 of her siblings. Well, that ain't bad. 98. Isn't that great?
Yeah, sure.
Well, look at that. Here are the projections on the latest polls.
Speaker. What about the Senate?
I think 4 or 5 seats is a very reasonable prediction. 6 seats, of course, is a majority. That could still happen.
Yeah, we know. But everybody's got predictions and polls. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see if they bring any real machines out to count not right, or, and we'll see who turns out. Wouldn't you think, based on all the things that have gone on these last 5 years, wouldn't you think in a country where people give a crap about anything that there'd be this gigantic turnout and that the public would be like just climbing over each other to just say to Bush? Wouldn't you be thinking that?
Okay.
Yeah. One could only hope. Well, you never know. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe Josh will go vote tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to go with George.
Well, I'm driving the getaway car.
Dave said, I heard Neil speaking about a lack of birthday wishes earlier in the show. I dropped off a card and gift to Freaky Carlos on Friday. Did you get them from him and maybe Josh? Peace, Dave. Yes, sending it Boca's next package. Well, what is it? Oh, the card? What's the gift? A cash gift of like millions? What's the gift?
I don't know. I didn't open it. It's over here. It's with the card.
Well, what's in the box?
You want me to rip it open? It seems to be a book based on the dimensions of it.
Oh. Well, send it along. Do whatever you want.
It's gift wrapped, so I figured, you might want to unwrap it.
Yeah, wrap on it.
It's a ritual.
Dan from Miami Beach faxes and says, I couldn't agree more about driving in this town, which has gotten progressively worse since I moved here over 20 years ago. I've lived in many big cities, New York, L.A., Amsterdam, Netherlands, not New York, and some very populated cities in South America. Miami is definitely the worst traffic I've ever seen. I guess Dan's never been in Rome. Holy moly, rat man. I live on the beach and my office is located on a commercial area in the same building. Rarely have to drive anywhere, and when I do, it's usually only a few miles at the most. I avoid 95 like the plague. Can't imagine having to commute in this town. Like all those poor saps probably still sitting in their cars, says Dan. Sorry, folks. Dan's a hard ass, but he's got a good point. Yeah, if you don't have to drive, don't do it. Every time you get behind the wheel of your car, you're like putting your life in jeopardy, as Alex Trebek would say. And God, do I hate that show. When's he going to retire? Silly Canuck. The answer is, Now, what was the other guy? Art Fleming.
Okay.
See, it goes to show you, if I screw up enough times on that, finally, eventually I remember the name, Art Fleming. The original host on Jeopardy, like 100 years ago. More old crap. 1,168 votes on the poll. How important are Tuesday's elections to you? Very important. Muy importante, 554. Life and death, 235. Life and death.
I have no life.
235. Somewhat important, 152. Not at all, 73. What, me worry? 54. Not much, 50. Take it or leave it. I hate this poll, 9, and I just hate 41 out of 1,188 votes. 1,188 and 41 hate. Pretty sad, ain't it? There's some nice people around. Just when you're in Florida, you have to, travel long distances to find them. Like maybe go up river there to Antry. Oh, I did. Well, you know something? I'm not playing it, though, because there's a lot of language in that. You said to me you ought to tape this when Deliverance was on this morning before the show?
Yeah, for the audio.
And I was taping the audio, but there's a lot of language in there. I don't want to just pop it on there and see what the hell's on here.
We want to lift and clip off all the good parts.
Other wiretaps seem to support that impression.
What was that?
That sounded like a Rolex commercial.
He and his friends at their table.
Oh, no, there's spots before the movie actually got going again. Where the hell is it?
Given birth to a baby, right?
She had just given birth to a baby on Thursday, a 6-pound.
Oh, my God. You got a little bit of everything in here, okay? That's good.
A month. Call 1-800.
A lot of spots.
Prime Monday, 79.
Wow. What the hell was that? That ain't it either, is it? Maybe I never recorded it and I just thought I did. Think that's possible?
Why didn't you do more to put bin Laden and Al-Qaeda out of business when you were president?
So you did Fox's bidding on this show. You did your nice little conservative hit job on me. What I want to know is...
You don't think that's a legitimate question?
No, it was a perfectly legitimate question, but I want to know how many people in the Bush administration you asked this question of.
Yeah, it's really interesting to notice that Bubba was up there in Aintree. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm telling you, he's going to blurt something out.
Now let's you just drop them facts.
All right.
Like that?
That was well worth it, wasn't it? At any price.
They don't say anything
The hell they don't.
Unsavory here. I was listening very closely this morning.
Yeah.
It's all
There's
very
plenty of F-bombs
It's a very
in there
clean scene.
Yeah, okay, whatever you say.
Piney.
But nice knowing you.
Pike and roll.
26 after noon at 560 WQAM. It's a great Monday, man. Tomorrow's election day, and then once we get after that, then what? Then there'll be like a lot of gnashing and rehashing and like the post-game show and the analyzation. You know, get the whole panel on there to analyze what went right, what went wrong, who did this. Is Charlie Crist really
gay?
Won't that be something we're going to be electing? It looks like our first gay governor, at least, that anybody knows about in Florida history. Won't that be a real corker? Well,
yeah,
in Tennessee, they're trying to say Corker's like 12 points ahead, and then I'm reading this morning that it's only like 2 to 4 points. Seems to me that even for those rednecks in Tennessee, I mean, Harold Ford Jr., his family is very, very prominent Tennessee family politically, and he's a pretty light complected. I mean, he's just barely a shade darker than, what you call it? You know who I'm talking about?
Who?
I don't know. He's just barely even mocha, Harold Ford Jr.
Who?
If you're expecting guests this holiday season, then it's a great time to dial 1-800-MATTRESS, plus it's Dial Mattress's 30th birthday.
About 30, man.
And to celebrate, Dial Mattress and Simmons are offering you the lowest price of the year on the best-selling Simmons Beauty Rest Pillow Top. You can choose from South Florida's biggest selection of Simmons Beauty Rest. We can get same-day delivery, too, like always. Call Dial Mattress at 1-800-MATTRESS for factory direct prices and award-winning service with no nonsense. With Dial Mattress, all you do is choose the date and time you want that new mattress delivered any day of the week, 7 days from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., even the same day that you call. And Dial Mattress really delivers every time. That's why they're ranked number one in customer satisfaction, why I've been using them for years, and why just about everybody at QM uses Dial Mattress when it's time to replace the lumpy old saggy mattress. On the web, check them out at mattress.com, or just call them toll-free. The easiest and the smartest piece of shopping you can ever do, 1-800-MATTRESS. 1-800-MATTRES. Leave off the last S because it stands for Stupendous Savings.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
MONDAYSUCKS. I'm gonna go and vote, gonna do my civic duty. Because winning this election means everything to me. Yeah, I volunteered and talked to people at the mall. The news says
this race is too close to call.
I'll be depressed if my candidates lose, 'cause there ain't no cure for election day blues. Well, the form letter told me, sir, we really need your money. Without your generosity, we can't win Tuesday. Yeah, gave them lots of cash and got the shock of my life.
The senator was caught with a woman, not his wife.
Now I know my candidate's gonna lose, and there ain't no cure for election day blues.
1233 on my back pages. That's going to be the autobiography of Miss Foley, wouldn't you think?
Oh, boy.
1,190 votes on the poll. 1190. Whoa, Fort Wayne. WOWO. Fort Wayne Comets hockey, baby. Newark, New Jersey. Prosecutors want a former Newark teacher accused by a student of infecting him with the virus that causes AIDS to be tested for the disease. Hassan Van, 29, a former music teacher at Westside High School in Newark, was indicted last week, accused of sexually abusing a student who now has AIDS, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office said. Van faces up to 30 years in prison and 14 charges, including sexual assault and contact, official misconduct, child welfare endangerment, giving drugs and booze to a child, and failing to notify a sexual partner that he had HIV. Mr. Van's alleged conduct involving his former student was vile and has forever changed this young man's life, said Essex County Prosecutor Paula Dow. My office has zero tolerance for these brazen acts and will prosecute these matters to the fullest extent of the law, she be saying. Van couldn't immediately be reached for comment, nor could his attorney Raymond Brown. Paul Loriquette, spokesman for the prosecutor's office, said the victim told authorities he's only had unprotected sex with Van, and that prosecutors plan to ask a judge to order Van to undergo an AIDS test. The student believes the frequent unprotected sex with Van led him to contacting the virus. Essex County Assistant Prosecutor Mark Ali said the indictment covers a period from September 2000 to June 2004, with the initial incident happening in December 2000 when the then 14-year-old male was pushed against a high school wall and sexually abused. The student graduated in 2004 and tested positive for HIV in May of 2005, which is when the prosecutor's office said it was notified. The former student, now 20, plans to file a civil lawsuit against Van and the school district. A state appeals court in August gave him the right to file a lawsuit even though he missed a legal deadline to do so. The court cited extraordinary circumstances surrounding the case when granting the right to file suit. How do you like that?
Mm-hmm.
The music teacher, I guess he was singing some sweet music, huh? Pushed him against the wall and sexually done him.
Maybe he had a real pretty mouth.
Could be. Oh, now you're trying to egg me on into playing more of that crap.
Yes, I am. Go on.
Drop?
Yeah?
Just take him right off.
I mean, what's this all about?
Don't say anything. Just do it.
Just do it. That's right. Just do it.
Scariest movie ever.
Well, at least it's true, though. I mean, that's that part of the country, that part of the woods.
Uh-huh.
You heard that expression, this neck of the woods? Well, that's
Yeah.
that neck of the woods.
That's how I came to be reared in the South.
Yeah, reared. Like that story I just read.
Still sore about it.
Paul Krugman limiting the damage. He said President Bush isn't on the ballot tomorrow, but this election is nonetheless all about him. To which I would say,
absolutely.
The question is whether voters will pry his fingers loose from at least some of the levers of power, thereby limiting the damage he can inflict in his last 2 remaining years in office. There are still some people urging Mr. Bush to change course. For example, a scathing editorial published yesterday by the Military Times, which calls on Mr. Bush to fire Donald Rumsfeld, declares that this is not about the midterm elections. But the editorial's authors surely know better than that. Mr. Bush won't fire Rumsfeld. He won't change strategy in Iraq. He won't change course at all unless Congress forces him to do it, to be doing it. At this point, nobody should have any illusions about Mr. Bush's character. To put it bluntly, he's an insecure bully who believes that owning up to a mistake, any mistake, would undermine his manhood, and who therefore lives in a dream world in which all of his policies are succeeding and all of his officials are doing a heck of a job. Just last week, he declared himself pleased with the progress we're making in Iraq. In other words, he's the sort of man who should never been in a position of authority, let alone been given the kind of unquestioned power, free from normal checks and balances that he was granted after 9/11. But he was, alas, given that power as well as a prolonged free ride from much of the news media. The results have been predictably disastrous. The nightmare in Iraq is only part of the story. In time, the degradation of the federal government by rampant cronyism, almost every part of the executive branch I know anything about, from the EPA to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has been FEMAfied. May come to be seen as an equally serious blow to America's future. And it should be a matter of intense national shame that Mr. Bush has quietly abandoned his fond promises to New Orleans and the rest of the Gulf Coast. The public, which rallied around Mr. Bush after 9/11, was still prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt 2 years ago, seems to have figured most of this out. It's too late to vote Mr. Bush out of office, but most Americans seem prepared to punish Mr. Bush's party for his personal failings. This is in spite of a vicious campaign in which Bush has gone further than any previous president, even Richard Nixon, in attacking the patriotism of anyone who criticizes him or his policies. That said, it's still possible that Republicans will hold on to both houses of Congress. The feeding frenzy over John Kerry's botched joke showed that many people in the news media are still willing to be played like a fiddle. And if you think the timing of the Saddam verdict was coincidental, I've got a terrorist plot against the Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. Moreover, the potential for vote suppression and or outright electoral fraud remains substantial, and it will be very hard for Democrats to take on the Senate for the very simple reason that only a third of the Senate seats are on the ballot. What if the Democrats do win? That doesn't guarantee a change in policy. The Constitution says that Congress and the White House are co-equal branches of government, but Mr. Bush and his people aren't big on constitutional niceties. Even with a docile Republican majority controlling Congress, Mr. Bush has been in the habit of declaring that he has the right to disobey the law he's just signed, whether it's a law prohibiting torture, a law requiring that he hire qualified people to run FEMA, whatever law it might be. Just imagine then what he'll do if faced with demands for information from, say, congressional Democrats investigating war profiteering, which seems to have been rampant.
Sorry.
You cracking them knuckles again?
I let it.
Actually, we don't have to imagine. A White House strategist has already told Time magazine the administration plans a cataclysmic fight to the death if Democrats in Congress try to exercise their right to issue subpoenas, which is one heck of a metaphor given Mr. Bush's history of getting American service members trapped in cataclysmic fights where the deaths are anything but metaphors. But here's the thing. No matter how hard the Bush administration may try to ignore the constitutional division of power, Mr. Bush's ability to make deadly mistakes has rested in part on GOP control of Congress. That's why many Americans, myself included, will breathe a lot easier if one-party rule ends tomorrow. That's what Paul Krugman is saying. That's on his swish list. Got it? Quit cracking them knuckles, or we're going to send your ass up to Aintree.
I know my way
Just
around.
drop him, boy.
Just drop him, boy. You have to really wonder how Ned Beatty made it from that scene to the boardroom of IT&T and Network, you know? Although, now, which movie was first? Google it. Deliverance or Network? Network was 76 or 72. And one of them was 72, and one of them was 76. Godfather was 72.
Right.
George McGovern was 72. That didn't work out too good. What was it?
Deliverance 72, Network 76.
Wow.
What'd I tell you? Network came later. Took him 4 years to heal up.
So I guess he walked bow-legged to that boardroom.
20 till 1 at 560 WQM. We warn you that Mad Dog, being the dumbass that he is, he missed his flight back from Chicago, so he ain't in town. So Geldy's going to be tuned 2 to 4. Bring back some some serious memories, all of them really bad. Remember those memories from how long was that, a year and a half?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Hey, don't forget now, it's Lobster Fest every weekend, every Friday through Sunday at the Emerald Coast, the best by a million miles Chinese buffet in South Florida, with 3 locations for you. They're in Sunrise, Pembroke Pines, and Sunny Isles. Over 100 different items featured at Emerald Coast Amazing Buffet, 6 gourmet soups, delicious, succulent, juicy New York steak grill to order, hand-carved prime rib, there's sushi, traditional Asian dishes, a salad bar, and a seal bar. And their dessert bar is really spectacular. Weekends feature the 40-inch mouth-watering chocolate fountain. Hand-dip all your good fruits in there, man. Your strawberries and all kinds of good stuff. Marshmallows, cheesecake, other decadent treats, and loads of milk chocolate for dessert. A fantastic way to end a real pig out at the Emerald Coast, which still uses only healthy cholesterol-free canola oil, never any MSG or cornstarch, no crap, no pounding headaches when you leave just a big fat pupik. And right now, when you go in as a party of 4, ask for the Neil deal, you'll get $5.60 off your total check with 4 paying adults. Emerald Coast open for lunch and dinner daily. Call 954-572-3822. 954-572-3822 for reservations. And don't forget, every day is a Neil Deal Day, and every Friday through Sunday it's Lobster Fest only at the Emerald Coast Chinese Buffet.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
The Lord even loves Neil Rogers.
Yeah, we know. We know by now what he was saying, right?
Neil, God.
Absolutely.
Can't believe the language I hear on TV. Every other word is an obscenity. It used to be the cable was a whole lot worse, but now the networks let their actors curse. There's no end in sight to this insanity. All the dialogue contains profanity. Swearing like a sailor on a 3-day pass. Words a whole lot worse than ass.
Wreck 'em.
F-bomb, F-bomb. How long will it be before they drop the F-bomb on network TV? F-bomb, F-bomb. There's no telling when they'll drop one on the UPN.
Yeah, or that TBN. Maybe Paul Crotch is going to utter out a couple F-bombs, huh?
Maybe.
Being sick in bed, which I was for the past couple of weeks, is bad enough, writes Jill Porter. But being sick in bed while living in a political combat zone, in this case the 6th Congressional District, is enough to make you want to kill somebody. My God, the phone call, she says. Just as I'd begun to drift off to sleep, the phone would ring, and it would be yet another damn computerized message about Lois Murphy. 1, 2, 3, 4 times a day, it seemed, the phone rang with robocalls about the Democratic challenger to incumbent GOP Representative Jim Gerlach in one of the nastiest races in the country. I never listened to a word of it, just slammed the phone down and seethed with resentment. Now there's an effective campaign strategy, I thought. Infuriate the voters so much that they won't vote. What part of do not call, don't campaign advisors get? Sure, political speech is exempt from FCC regulations prohibiting unwanted phone solicitations, but since most Americans consider unsolicited calls an invasion of privacy, why would anyone campaign flood voters with prefab rhetoric? Yet the tactic is cheap in many cases, pennies a phone call compared with the $15 to $30 an hour polls used to have to pay for telemarketers to call the old-fashioned way. There are dozens of online computerized call firms available to do the dirty work, and it's much cheaper in a costly media market such as Philadelphia to use robocalls than pay for TV ads. But if they annoy voters rather than enlighten them, what's the point? That's what I asked Lois Murphy's campaign yesterday, and the answer was simple. It wasn't us. Only 3 recorded calls have been made on behalf of Murphy's campaign, including one from Governor Rendell, which is sponsored by the Democratic State Committee. The rest, a dirty trick by the Republicans, said Communication Director Amy Bonabitis. The calls, which begin by offering important information about Lois Murphy, are designed to mislead voters into thinking the message is from her. Most recipients slam down the phone before finding out otherwise, then call to complain. We've gotten a ton of complaints starting 2 weeks ago, Bonabitis said. Some of our biggest supporters, I don't know how to pronounce her name. If you call me again, I'm not voting for Lois. Great tactic on behalf of Gerlach's campaign, then. Not so, said John Gensel, Communication Director. We've only done a handful, maybe 5 in the last couple of months. Right. So if your phone is ringing off the hook, just disconnect it. More games and more dirty tricks and stupid. Let's just see if we can't piss people off enough so they won't vote for, whoever the hell it is. Some schmuck. Ford Motor Company said Thursday that it stopped buying pig iron from an Illinois company after a news organization found that a Brazilian supplier of charcoal needed to make the raw iron used slave labor. Oh, not in Brazil. In addition, General Motors Corp., Daimler Chrysler's AG Chrysler Group, Toyota Motor Corp., and other automakers and suppliers are re-examining their supply chain in the wake of the findings which were outlined last Thursday in a 6,800-word Bloomberg news story. Bloomberg reported that thousands of Brazilians were forced to work in oppressive conditions to produce charcoal used to make pig iron, a basic ingredient of steel. The pig iron is bought by brokers, then sold to steelmakers and foundries that sell it to companies that make vehicles, sinks, refrigerators, and other products. Despite malaria and chronic cough, Alexander Pereira dos Rios, 32, said he works long days shoveling charcoal out of a kiln near the city of Tucuri in the Brazilian Amazon without getting paid. This hits you hard, dos Rios told Bloomberg. I would leave if I could, but I need the work. Many workers spend their nights in lean-tos they make from plastic sheeting they throw over branches in places open to rain and snakes, Bloomberg said, drinking unclean water from stagnant pools shared with cattle. Food is scarce, and many people die in the poor working conditions. The amount of pig iron in vehicles that could be linked to slave labor is small, a fraction of 1% of all supply purchases. Ford and GM buy $155 billion in global parts. The amount in question is up to $8.2 million in pig iron. Well, I sure hope that Gary Sarner ain't driving a car that's got pig iron. Do you think so? That would be not bad, not good. Bloomberg said Ford appliance maker Whirlpool and Kohler Company, which makes sinks and bathtubs, use steel traced to the charcoal camp in Brazil that officials say uses slaves. All have purchased pig iron from importer National Material Trading Company, which is supplied by the camp, Bloomberg said. Kohler also said it's going to investigate. And it goes on and on. Slave labor, I can't believe there's any, since Kathy Lee fessed up, I can't believe there's any such thing still going on. Can you?
No.
No. Except at QAM.
That's what Josh said.
Yeah, just ask Josh. He's a dumbass. He's working for like $2 an hour. He's waiting for the envelope that ain't coming. Unless I win that $36 million on Wednesday, then I can afford the envelope. It's only about 2 cents. Look at that. We got 1-2-2-2. I think we got a shot at 1,300 today, don't you? If we don't get to 1,300 by 2 o'clock, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I'm going to fly away. I'm going to miss my plane.
Yeah.
How important are tomorrow's elections to you? 1,225 votes. Very important, 587. Life and death, 242. Life and death. These are the people who are going to vote 100 times. All against Bush. Somewhat important, 159. Not at all, 79. What, me worry? 56. Not much, 51. I hate this poll. Still only the same number.
9.
And I just hate 42. See, that's a good alternative. We're learning something. Mentioned on Friday, didn't I? We ought to have like another category. I just hate. Not the poll necessarily. Whatever it is we put on there, they just hate it. Because they hate us, they hate themselves, they hate everything. Kind of like those self-hating fags, the log cabin Republicans. I think they got the wrong log in mind. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they thought that meant. They want to put their log cab in deep. In Germany's first comment on the conviction and sentencing to death of former Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein, Chancellor Angela Merkel said yesterday her government did not approve of the death penalty. That's what they're saying all over the EU. Even Tony Blair said that. Leave it to those Germans to be against the death penalty. On the other hand, it was right. The era of Saddam regime was being reviewed in the court, she said. Merkel spoke after attending a special cabinet meeting in Berlin on Germany's upcoming EU presidency. Germany has abolished the death penalty and regularly criticizes its use by other nations, including the USA, the barbaric U.S., because the Troimans are civilized men. They don't believe in killing people. Oh, I got a good story, but I don't have time for it right now.
Okay.
Air America's ABC Blacklist, the real story. It was on our website, and of course, if you people would spend a lot more time reading the stories on our website, you'd actually know what the hell's going on. Then you'd be really depressed, probably blow your brains out. So don't get too carried away with it. Okay. Although Josh ain't too happy about the fact that George got my Hotmail all straightened out there. Now, how did I do? Did I overdo it with the stories this weekend, or were they okay?
They were just fine, man.
Let's see, let me take a look. Oh no, not too bad. I don't really. I pay no attention. I just keep punching them out. When in doubt, punch them out.
Click.
Like those phony ballots in Ohio. When in doubt, punch them out. Although Saturday, I think I got a little bit carried away. It looks like a pretty long list on there. And there's no point in doing it because on the weekend, I mean, everybody, even the crowd that says they hate sports, they're watching football, right?
Right.
Or doing something. Maybe they have a life. Maybe they find a life on the weekend. Because we get a fraction of the readership on the stories on the weekend that we do it during the week. Which means I guess I'm going to cut way back on the weekend and send maybe Josh 200-300 stories a day on the weekdays. Does that make more sense to you?
No, not really.
Because we got that big audience out there during the week. At least we used to. We sure as hell used to, man. I remember all we had to do was fart on this show, and the whole town knew exactly what we all had for breakfast, right? That's right. Everybody in town was at the water cooler, at the, that's right. They were doing it. They were trying to emulate it. They were trying to match that. In fact, remember the show we were talking about before, Name That Tune?
Sure.
Name That Fart. Right.
Oh, that was Neil's.
That was your horn, baby. He's tooting his own again. He's tooting it. Remember Rudy Kazooie?
Who?
Rudy Kazooie.
No.
I can't believe, of all things, I mean, you know, every cartoon character that's ever been invented.
A cartoon character?
Rudy Kazooie, yeah. I don't know.
Sorry. And you're right. I thought I did know all of them.
Yeah.
Even going back to the Betty Boop days when they all had spaghetti arms.
Rudy Kazooie. I'm Googling it right now. Well, I'm telling you, I'm quick. Rudy Kazooie. If you're a baby boomer kid like me who grew up watching TV in the 50s, remember the name Rudy Kazooie. And I'm going to go, let's see. Steve Carlin was the creator, and he's got a website, the official Rudy Kazooie website. It's a memory flash to our childhood past, images of a gone-by era, lost and forgotten in time, when puppets and their human hosts first dominated the Saturday morning airwaves, all at the start of what would become known as the golden age of television. Rudy Kazooie wasn't a cartoon, it was a puppet. At the height of the Rudy Kazooie craze in this country, the kids, adults, even comedians at the time found themselves mimicking the show's fresh, slangy use of the English language with terms like Yazza-Rudy, Noza-Rudy, Gosha-Rudy, and Absolutely. Absolutely!
Absolutely.
Each one making English teachers flinch. Even today, Rudy-isms are in many ways a permanent part of American slang without us knowing it. Originated with Steve Carlin, Rudy's creator. And the beat goes on. Look at this. There's the dolls, collectible dolls. There's the Rudy Kazooie doll. And the Gala Poochie pup. And his girlfriend Polka Dottie. Oh, God. You know, it's pretty obvious there wasn't a lot to put on the air back in the early days. There was Howdy Doody, though. I mean, who do you like better, Rudy Kazooie or Howdy Doody?
I've never watched either one of them.
Or Scarlett Johansson's booty.
Oh, man.
1256 at 560 WQM. Get a touch of Las Vegas right in Pembroke Pines at the one and only MGR Palace. MGR Palace, Pembroke Pines, is over 10,000 square feet of Vegas-style fun and excitement. Don't go to the big expensive resorts or out to sea, because at MGR Palace you can win cash, lots of it, up to $5,000 per spin. Spend the day at MGR Palace and get free breakfast, lunch, dinner, and free drinks, plus enjoy great music and live entertainment. MGR Palace at the southeast corner of Palm Avenue and Pines Boulevard. Get the personal attention you won't get anyplace else. Plus win lots of cash, up to $5,000 per spin. Enter free drawing for a trip to Vegas, Atlantic City, and Carnival Cruises, too. Your money goes a long way at MGR Palace. No waiting with over 300 machines, man. Open Sunday through Thursday till midnight, till 2 in the morning on the weekends. The one and only MGR Palace at southeast corner of Palm Avenue and Pines Boulevard in the Club Fit Plaza. The only thing missing is you.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Okay, this is Todd Farrell. And when I'm up in Boca Chica slapping old women with painted lips around the pool, I listen to the Neil Rogers 1 to 2 hour. I listen to the Neil Rogers Fair and Balanced 1 to 2 hour.
You're free, and freedom is beautiful. And, it'll take time to restore chaos, but we will.
Something stinks inside our house. Time to kick those bastards out. Throwing on our lawn. Let's take them out before freedom's gone. Let's take them out before freedom's gone.
At 560 WQM. Aren't you excited? They're counting down the hours and the minutes and the seconds. Let's see if they're still doing it. MSNBC. Maybe your girlfriend is on now.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no, it's Makakowitz.
Could be what spells the difference
So, Alan, at the same time that he is trying to inspire his supporters, you have Jim Webb, the Democrat, also trying to inspire his. Later this afternoon, the Democrat Jim Webb...
Yeah, well, good. Who cares? Here's a fax that says, you may be interested to know that the entire HBO Hacking Democracy documentary is available legally online at Google Video. And then it's got the link on here. Do we want to put this on our thing or not?
No, just tell people, go to Google Video and, type in Hacking Democracy. And it'll
there you go.
pop right up.
It'll pop right up there and you can watch it for free. Or, if you got HBO.
Right. Just watch it.
Or if you're, stealing signals or stuff like that. Josh Silver and Robert W. McChesney on commondreams.org. Right now, let's see, where's this story originally from? Did they write it for Common Dreams? Or, I'd like to know. Do you like to know?
Sure.
They're co-founders of the nonpartisan media reform organization Free Press. Air America's ABC Blacklist, The Real Story is the headline. This week we learned that some 90 major corporations demanded that their ads be pulled from radio stations that run Air America programming, demonstrating the fundamental challenge facing everyone working to promote critical journalism and a vibrant free press. First off, let's clarify why this is taking place. The crime isn't that Air America is partisan. All or most of these firms advertise on politically conservative talk radio programs and or stations, and the crime isn't even being liberal. Some of these advertisers have moderate or liberal executives who donate to Democratic candidates and are far from rabid conservatives. So what's the problem? While liberal Air America clearly favors Big D Democrats, unlike virtually all other programming on commercial radio and TV, it gives airtime to reports that are critical of corporations and the powerful politicians they keep in Washington. This is the heart of the problem. Air America commits a crime called journalism. Almost none of the so-called conservative radio shows and networks do any semblance of actual reporting. They merely pontificate, repeating talking points that seem to be emailed straight from Karl Rove's laptop. America does its share of pontificating as well, Air America, and we leave it to others to compare its integrity to that of Limbaugh and Hannity, but we can say that Air America journalism occasionally focuses on corporate malfeasance. It examines closely the deeply corrupt relationship between corporate power and government officials. This brand of journalism is found almost nowhere else on the commercial dial. It's brandished as liberal because it doesn't practice journalism as stenography to those in power. This is the same reason that Bill Moyers doesn't have any of these 90 firms lining up to underwrite his PBS reporting. So what should we learn from this episode? 1. Commercial media are highly concentrated and corporate advertisers have massive budgets, giving their programming decisions profound implications. According to its own website, ABC Radio has more than 4,400 affiliate radio stations, reaching nearly 105 million people nationwide. Monopoly media power translates into significant political power, and that's dangerous. It's a big deal. 2, media are concentrated in the hands of massive corporations who are only concerned with profits. Anything that reduces or threatens those profits is eliminated. Investigative journalism because it's too expensive. Government accountability because it pisses off politicians and regulators who dole out billion-dollar policy favors like media deregulation. Corporate accountability because it angers corporations like the long list that pulled Air America funding. Good journalism can be bad for business. And 3, note the presence of the U.S. Post Office and U.S. Navy on lists of advertisers who've blackballed Air America. It's an outrage that public monies are being deployed to push the ideological agenda of the Bush administration, or any other administration for that matter. This is one more example of the corruption of governance in Washington, where big money and political power are picking over the bones of democracy. What's left? Timid, lapdog journalism that fills our TV screens and radio dials. A newspaper market dominated by a handful of massive firms that suffer the same symptoms. Cheap-to-produce reality shows, celebrity fluff, regurgitated press releases, spin assessing other spin, and entertainment as news that titillates but rarely informs. Obviously, we have to stop the corruption in Washington that allows this business as usual, but there are 3 specific and crucial areas that demand our attention. First, we must stop further media consolidation. This episode vividly illustrates the peril of monopoly media power. Bush's man at the FCC is actively moving to lift some of the last remaining ownership limits. The dream scenario for big media: eliminate ownership rules so one company can own all the media in town and have one newsroom serve all outlets. Heaven for the conglomerate, hell for everybody else. Public backlash stopped a similar move in 2003, and the battle is being fought again at www.stopbigmedia.com. Second, we must understand that virtually all media, TV, radio, phone, will soon be delivered digitally through the Internet. With increasing speeds, every website holds the revolutionary potential to become a TV or radio network, breaking the corporate bottleneck on media access and distribution. But today, cable and phone companies are mounting a full-court press in Washington to privatize the Internet and make them the gatekeepers to all media by removing the long-standing principle of net neutrality on the Internet. Fortunately, public backlash is winning the day so far, buoyed by the SaveTheInternet.com coalition at SaveTheInternet.com. And third, non-commercial media, including PBS, NPR, and community broadcasters, must be well-founded and insulated from political pressure. The U.S. has the lowest per capita funding of public broadcasting in the industrialized world. Our dysfunctional system has the president appointing partisan operatives to the board that funds PBS and NPR programs. Once again, the public must be engaged and the public broadcasting system must be overhauled and reinvigorated. Critical journalism is bad business for media corporations and their advertisers. It's time to engage the public and demand a media system that will inform and protect America rather than one that is, in the words of Jon Stewart, hurting us. Well, there you go. Sign America, baby.
That's what he said to Tucker, who's on right now. How do you like that, wearing a regular tie?
Oh, wearing a real tie instead of a bow tie. There's Mother Tucker.
Bob Corker is at 50%. That is a 12 percentage point lead.
Anybody believe that poll?
No. Congressman Harold Ford Jr. The USA Today Gallup poll has Ford trailing by just 3 points. NBC's Ron Blom joins us now from Memphis. Ron, what's the truth?
What's the story, Ron?
Well, the truth is they're only sampling about 650 people who happen to be home and answer their phone and willing to do a survey. Now, the polling people still say it's scientific. There's a margin of error of 4%. The Republican Party is feeling very good about Tennessee now. This was a toss-up just a week or so ago, and the numbers have been breaking Corker's way. Some of the Mason-Dixon polling seems to indicate that those very heavy negative ads, the ones with the bimbo enticing Harold Ford to call me later.
That's right. Black guy, bimbo, blonde, white chick. Works like a charm, especially in Tennessee. You don't think that they're susceptible to that kind of racial race baiting, do you? Yes.
In Tennessee?
Tennessee, which ain't too far from one of your very favorite places. You know where that is?
North Carolina?
No.
Virginia? Aintree?
You ever had your balls stood off, you fucking idiot?
I told you. I knew it. I knew it.
I think all three of us hit it that day.
Yeah, there you go. See, you kept egging me on. I just knew we'd get to that point where he dropped an F-bomb, a B-bomb, some bomb. But I'm sure that after that now it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear a little more of that deliverance audio.
Yeah, once the delay builds up.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, maybe tomorrow. You're just an Ojan provocateur and never going to change. We got Geldy, too, speaking of provocateurs. He provokes a lot of radios to move in the opposite dial. We got the power hour, I guess not today. We just got the humper between 4 and 7. Good, maybe the extra hour's work will cause him to lose an ounce. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but I haven't seen a humper in quite a while, and boy, that was like a shock, you know? It was like the day that Henry Barrow walked in, remember that?
Yes, I do.
Wow, talk about porking up. It's one thing to be doing all those free wine tastings, eating all that free food that goes along with that wine, but Jesus God, Henry, my goodness. Ballooned up like, I guess that bicycle pump must be going around. Don't you know the kind of pump I'm talking about? It used to be like a red thing, and you'd step down on it, and it had the, that would hook up to either your bicycle tire or your car tire. You don't remember one of those?
Yeah, it's called an air pump or a tire pump.
Yeah, an old-fashioned air pump, like, old again. See, old crap.
They still have them.
Well, obviously they do, and we know where they're sticking the...
rectum.
Yeah. Maybe Henry loaned his to the humper.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM. The biggest names, the best talent.
I think it's a waste of time to keep Coker. I do. But what's the point? I think they should bring Butch back and get rid of Coker. Do it now.
At the end of the season.
I mean, why wait? The recruiting season's coming up. You want to solidify things. You don't want to lose kids now. A lot of these kids are coming back next year. You can put things in place now and start getting ready for next year.
The Hammer, Hank Goldberg, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Grab my junior, honey.
I went to Nutrisystems. I was thinking about losing weight. I stepped on the scale, and they got a measuring tape. They said, wait a minute, mister, there's only so much we can do. I think liposuction may be the only thing for you. Suck the fat off a fanny, suck the cellulite, suck the fat off a fanny, and suck the weight right off me. I don't have to diet, I don't have to go and exercise. I don't have to worry about no bulges around my thighs. 'Cause thanks to liposuction, you know I'm a brand new man. Hook up the Hoover, suck the fat out as fast as you can. Suck the fat off my baby, suck the cellular. Suck the fat off my baby. Hey, suck the way around me.
116 is almost enough to make me want to get a piece of cheese, you know?
Well, that won't kill you.
Fights. What?
I said that won't kill you.
No. Although it's Kraft. Just to aggravate you.
All right.
$12.99 on the pool. I think we can make it to 1,300 by 2 o'clock, so I'll come back tomorrow maybe. Unless I miss my plane.
Good.
Mad Dog missed his flight out of Chicago. What a dumbass. That's what Josh said. Why should he have to suffer just because Hank picked on your ass?
Hey, that's what you said.
In fairness, that's right. He should. He missed the flight. He had a show to do today, and it's a good excuse. You know, he's used to that, slacking off. India grounds hostesses who are too fat to fly. How thin should you be to be a brand ambassador for modern India? The question will be addressed at Delhi Supreme Court this week as lawyers argue over whether Indian Airlines, the state-owned carrier national symbol, can fire its air hostesses for being too fat, too Zaftik. You know Mike Saftik? He drives at Woodbine.
Who?
11 employees recently grounded for putting on too much weight claim that the airline has changed its vision of the Indian feminine ideal, abandoning the more buxom prototype in favor of a more westernized skinny model, which staff see as unattainable, especially if you're shoving all that curry in you. Oh, I can't imagine that curry would be fattening, would it?
I don't even know what it is.
Curry powder?
Yeah, like what's it made out of? Is it a root? Is it an animal?
It's a spice.
Is it rhino
it's
horn?
It's a spice, man.
Yeah, but
don't
from
tell me
what?
you don't know from curry. Oh, I
Do
hate
they
it.
scrape it off a rock? Do they grow it in a tree?
They scrape it off somebody's
rectum.
Ooh, very, very heavy, spicy. And if you eat enough of it, it gets into like it gets into your skin. So that's why there are many people from India who smell like that. They smell like curry.
I see.
It's almost enough to make you want to have them for lunch. Indian Airlines will argue that this is a case of selecting the best ambassadors to represent the national airline and the country as a whole, and will also claim that thinner employees are more agile and better equipped to tackle terrorist incidents and other emergencies. It would seem to me that the fat stewies, they could block the terrorists on their way up to the,
That's right, just stand in front of the cockpit door.
They want to discard the heavier women and bring in newer, thinner models, said Sheila Joshi, an air hostess, who was grounded after a spot weigh-in found she was 1.9 kilograms over the prescribed limit for her height. So in other words, about 5 pounds. Not even. Distressed at the prospect of losing her job after 25 years with the company, she went on a crash diet. Now eats only 1 meal a day to try to keep within the limit. She's been allowed to fly again, but describes the process as demeaning. This is our national carrier and should represent the dignity of Indian culture. These new policies are humiliating to women, she'd be saying. I wonder if she's got a big dowry. See, in India, if you got a big ass, they obviously don't like you now, but if you got a big dowry, then they'll make an exception.
Mm-hmm. What if you have both?
Well, in that case. Don't forget, Match Point, it's on the way. You'll say to me, boy, this is a really sensational movie. I'm predicting that right now. If you don't think the ending, because that's one of the things we usually complain about, is even movies that are pretty good and we think they're going to be fine, then the ending sucks.
It's a peeve.
The ending is one of the best ever.
Great. Can't wait.
Each voter will have a favorite. Oh, this is Frank Rich. Throw the truth in his bums out. And they're getting hysterical all over the web now about, you know what? Karl Rove's dirty trick is these robocalls that are going all over the place. There's a big thing. I don't want to. It's much too long. But it says this is turning into a big story. Oh, I already read it. It's the one about Jill Porter, the one about in Philadelphia, homesick and a phone ringing off the hook. It says it's turning into a big story. They're doing it across the country. Kansas, New Hampshire, now Pennsylvania. It's the Republican October surprise launched in November. It's to cheat, pretend that they're Democrats calling voters, and then piss off the voters so much they don't vote for the Democrats, maybe don't even vote at all. The culprit in the race is the National Republican Congressional Committee, an organization that's used such scurrilous campaign tactics this season. It's been disavowed in some instances by the candidates and it's supporting. In the past week alone, FCC records reflect $22,000 plus for anti-Murphy phone bank expenses, said NRCC spokesman Ed Petrie. It's just, par for the course, playing games. Well, what else have they got? Frank Rich says each voter will have a favorite moment from the fabulous midterms of 2006. Forced to pick my own, I'd go for Lynn Cheney's pre-Halloween slapdown of Wolf Blitzer on CNN. It's not in every political campaign that you get to watch the wife of the Vice President of the U.S. slug it out about lesbian sex while promoting a children's book titled Our 50 States, A Family Adventure Across America. The pretext for this improbable dust-up was a last-ditch strategy by the flailing incumbent Republican Senator of Virginia, George McCockowitz Allen. Desperate to resuscitate his campaign, Senator Allen attacked his opponent Jim Webb for writing sexually explicit passages in his acclaimed novels about the Vietnam War. Mr. Webb fought back by pointing out, among other Republican hypocrisies, Mrs. Cheney's authorship of an out-of-print 1981 novel, Sisters, with steamy sexual interludes suitable for the L word. Not lesbians. Not lesbian on.
Oh.
When Mr. Blitzer brought up Sisters on live TV, Mrs. Cheney went ballistic, calling Webb a liar. The exchange would have been a TiVo keeper had only the CNN anchor called Mrs. Cheney out by reading aloud just one of the many Sisters passages floating around the Internet. The women who embraced in the wagon were Adam and Eve crossing a dark cathedral stage. No, Eve and Eve, loving one another as they would not be able to once they ate of the fruit and knew themselves as they truly were. But you can't have everything. Even without Eve and Eve, the silly episode will stay with me as a representative sample of this election year. It wasn't just that the entire Cheney, Blitzer, Webb, Allen fracas had nothing to do with the issues that confront the country. It was completely detached from reality. Mr. Allen, who's been caught in video, in real life spewing racial epithets, didn't attack Mr. Webb for any actual bad behavior, but merely for the imaginary behavior of invented characters in a book. As if it weren't enough for Mrs. Cheney to regurgitate Mr. Allen's ludicrous argument, she fudged the contents of her own novel, further fictionalizing what was fiction to start with. Then she turned around and attacked CNN for broadcasting nonfiction, a.k.a. news, like her husband's endorsement of waterboarding in a widely disseminated radio interview. The incessant shell game played with fiction and reality turned this episode of Blitzer's program, The Situation Room, into a sober inversion of Comedy Central's Colbert Report, in which Stephen Colbert's satirical Fox-style TV blowhard interviews real-life politicians. Here, the interviewer, Blitzer, was real, but the politician, Mrs. Cheney, was bogus, shamelessly making everything up and hoping her play acting would make her outrageous fictions credible. Maybe in some precincts it did. The 2002 midterms were ridiculed as the Seinfeld election about nothing, and 2006 often does seem like the Colbert election, so suffused it is with unreality, or what Mr. Colbert calls truthiness. Or perhaps the Barat election after the character created by Mr. Colbert's equally popular British counterpart, Sacha Baron Cohen, whose mockumentary about the American travels of a crude fictional TV reporter from Kazakhstan, opened to great acclaim this weekend. Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan.
Like both these comedians, our politicians and their media surrogates have been going to extremes this year to blur the difference between truth and truthiness, all the better to confuse the audience. But there's one important difference. When Mr. Colbert's fake talking head provokes a real congressman into making a fool of himself on Mr. Baron Cohen's fake reporter tries to storm the real White House gates, it's a merry prank for our entertainment. By contrast, the clowns on the ballot, busily falsifying reality, are vying to be in charge of our real world at one of the most perilous times in our history. While lying politicians and hyperbolic negative TV campaign ads are American staples, the artificial realities created this year on a scale worth of Disney, if not Stalin. In the campaign's final stretch, Congress and President Bush passed with great fanfare a new law to erect a 700-mile border fence to keep out rampaging Mexican immigrants, but guaranteed no money to actually build it. Rush Limbaugh tried to persuade his devoted audience that Michael J. Fox had exaggerated his Parkinson's symptoms in an ad for candidates who support stem cell research purely as an act. In a class by itself is the president's down-to-the-wire effort to brand his party as the defender of traditional marriage, even as the same-sex scandals of conservative leaders on and off Capitol Hill make La Cage aux Folles look like the sound of music. Just in recent days, the Reverend Ted Haggard, a favored Bush spiritual advisor and visitor to the Oval Office, if not the Lincoln bedroom, resigned as leader of the National Association of Evangelicals after accusations that he patronized a male prostitute, and the Talking Points memo blog broke the story of the Republican Party taking money from a gay porn distributor whose stars include active-duty soldiers. A film version of Mrs. Cheney's Sister, alas, still awaits. And always there's the false reality imposed on Iraq. Absolutely, we're winning in the president's recent formulation. After all this time, you'd think that Iraq fictions wouldn't work anymore. The overwhelming majority of Americans now know that we were conned into this mess in the first place by two fake storylines manufactured by the White House, a connection between 9/11 and Sodom, and an imminent threat of nuclear Armageddon. Both were trotted in and out of our last midterm campaign to rush a feckless Congress into voting for a war authorization before Election Day. As the administration pulls the same ploy 4 years later, this time to keep the fiasco going, you have to wonder if it can get away with lying once more. Given the polls, would have said no, but last week's John Kerry farce gives me pause. Whatever lame joke or snide remark the senator was trying to impart, it was no more relevant to the reality unfolding in Iraq than the sex scenes in Jim Webb's novels. But as the White House ingeniously inflated a molehill by a non-candidate into a mountain of fake news, real news from Iraq was often downplayed or ignored entirely. It was a chilling example of how even now a skit ginned up by the administration's screenwriters can dwarf and obliterate reality in our media culture. On the same day Kerry blundered, the U.S. suffered a palpable and major defeat in Iraq. The Iraqi Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki, once again doing the bidding of the anti-American leader Muqtada al-Sadr, somehow coerced American forces into dismantling their cordon of Sadr City, where they were searching for a kidnapped soldier. As the melodramatic debates over how much Mr. Kerry should apologize dragged on longer, still more real news got short shrift. The October death toll for Americans in Iraq was the highest in nearly 2 years. Some 90% of the dead were enlisted men, and nearly a third were on extended tours of duty or their second or third tours. Their average age was 24. When the premises for war were being sold 4 years ago, you could turn to the fake news of Jon Stewart's Daily Show to find the skepticism that might poke holes in the propaganda. 4 years later, the press is much chastened by its failure to do its job back then, but not all of the press. While both Mr. Stewart and Colbert make sport of the media's overkill on the Kerry story, their counterparts in real TV news, especially but not exclusively on cable, flogged it incessantly. Only after the New York Times uncovered a classified Pentagon chart documenting Iraq's rapid descent into chaos did reality begin to intrude on the contrived contretemps posed by another tone-deaf flub from a former presidential candidate who's not even on the ballot. In retrospect, the defining moment of the 2006 campaign may well have been back in April when Mr. Colbert appeared at the White House Correspondents' Association dinner. Call it a cultural primary. His performance was judged a bomb by the Washington Press Corps, which yucked it up instead for a Bush impersonator who joined the president in a benign sketch commissioned by the White House. But millions of Americans watching C-SPAN and the web did get Mr. Colbert's routine. They recognized that the Beltway establishment sitting stone-faced in his audience was the butt of his jokes, especially the very news media that had parroted Bush administration fictions leading America into the quagmire of Iraq. 5 months later, a video of Mr. Colbert's dinner speech is still a runaway iTunes hit, and his comic concept for Washington is more popular than ever. It's enough to give you hope that the voters may rally for reality on this crucial election day, even as desperate politicians and some of their media enablers try one more time to stay their fictional course.
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Yeah, I got the check. Got my car fixed. It's my birthday. Fixed my own fur. New tail lights.
Geico. Real service, real savings.
It's my birthday.
And another thing, you would have listened to me, you would have been a big star by now. With that little thick, squeak voice, how do you expect to get anywhere, you little puny puke? Did we say puke? I don't even know anymore.
What's that? 3,500 white? The more I hear you.
Yeah, what about it?
The more I hate you.
What do I care?
And when I hear you, I wanna die. Your pecorino, toenail cheese aroma puts me in a coma and points my eye.
Why, you, I ought to smack you. I know my smell attracts you. But unlike Zach, you've still got a job. I feel just like that you are my kid brother. And one yiddy to another. That's why you're still not fired. Doy, 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 doy. Doy, 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 doy. Doy, 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 doy. A morning show can put you in a coma.
Absolutely.
Can't wait till it's over. All right, that's enough.
26 till 2, I'll tell you one thing. We sure missed the Molemeister, don't we?
No.
Oh.
You know it.
Here's the facts. We ask and the audience responds. Boy, they're really something. Oh, I'm amazed we haven't had like 100 faxes about Match Point. Had you ever heard of that movie before or not?
Never.
See, if you'd have heard of it and you'd have known that she was in it, you'd own it,
I'd
you'd
have
have
watched
it.
Right. I'd lick it.
You'd have seen it, sniffed it. Anyway, speaking of the sniffing it, the fact says curry powder, and we thank profusely the Chronic who sent this in. Curry powder is a mixture of spices of widely varying composition developed by the British during their colonial rule of India as a means of approximating the taste of Indian cuisine at home. Most recipes and producers of curry powder usually include coriander, turmeric, cumin, and fenugreek in their blends. Did I pronounce all of those right? Yes, I did.
As far as I know. What'd you call me?
Remember that song by Three Dog Night, Eli's Cumin? Depending on the recipe, additional ingredients such as ginger, garlic, fennel seed. Remember Dick Fennel on Channel 4?
No.
Clove, mustard seed, green cardamom, Black cardamom, nutmeg, red pepper, cinnamon, and black pepper may also be added. Nutmeg, boy, that's really good in eggnog, right? Isn't that what you put in eggnog besides booze?
Nutmeg.
Nutmeg, that's what I said. It's also the name given to a different mixture of spices that includes curry leaves, which is used in South and Eastern Indian cuisine. And then the last sentence on this is enough to make you want to swoon. In fact, that cheese, I think, is making its way back up through my gullet. Curry was originally used to mask the taste of bad/rotten meat. Oh, nice. Man, right in the middle of a late lunch for a lot of people. We're sorry that we interrupted it. God. Well, you know, there's a billion people in India, and all those Chinese and everything, a billion people over there. They all got to eat. You know the smell of rotten meat?
Yes, I know it.
Oh, God, I've smelled some bad meat.
I'll bet.
Run like a son of a bitch. A Democratic takeover of the U.S. Congress would put two of the most outspoken critics of the Iraq War in charge of dispensing the money President Bush will seek for combat, adding pressure for a new approach to the increasingly unpopular war. In the House of Representatives, Representative David Obey of Wisconsin will rise to the Appropriations Committee chairman if Democrats win this week. At every opportunity, the scrappy Obey reminds fellow lawmakers of his opposition to the Iraq War, calling it the dumbest war since the War of 1812. David Obey can be a cantankerous fellow. I don't think he'd be in the business of giving the president an easy time, said Brookings Institution senior fellow Stephen Hess. Across Capitol Hill, Senator Bobby Byrd of West Virginia, now 88, would have the Senate Appropriations panel. Just before the start of the war in March 2003, Byrd accused Bush of flaunting our superpower status with arrogance. Of the coming U.S. invasion, he said, "Today I weep for my country." With either Obey or Byrd in charge of the committees that pay the $8 billion a month Iraq war tab, experts say Defense Secretary Rumsfeld would have to do far more explaining of how the money was being spent, which toilet is being flushed down, whose palms were smearing. That could open the door for Congress to pressure the administration to work with it and outside experts on a fresh, rigorous assessment of Iraq's political problems and how to deal with them so American troops can leave the country. Such an opening could dovetail with work by former Secretary of State Baker, whose Iraq study group will soon issue alternative ideas for Iraq, and as Republican lawmakers increasingly are questioning the war, the illegal invasion, the slaughter, the bloodshed, the lunacy, all based on a pack of lies. And the idea that, well, you know, it's even Steven in a lot of these states, it's down the middle, and you wonder, well, what is going on here? What kind of a country are we talking about? Like a lot of dumb people?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's enough to make me play another clip from Deliverance. Well, let's try it again. What do you think? I think we got past that one thing there.
What one thing is that?
Where he said...
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
It's man. That's sharp, a bit of shave of hair.
What? I don't know. It wasn't nothing dirty anyway.
Dear.
And where the hell was I?
Aintree.
Oh. Sitting behind Obey and Byrd as chairman of key defense spending subcommittees could be Representative John Murtha of Pennsylvania, the ex-Marine who a year ago called for withdrawing troops from Iraq, and Senator Daniel Inouye of Hawaii, who lost an arm fighting in WW2 and has voted for withdrawing troops by next July. Now, don't tell me that's your vice president there. Oh, my God.
Awesome display of brass I think I've ever seen, ever. You have been and sometimes a bitter critic of their ideas, if not them personally,
that's your new
really
hero,
from the
Pat
very
Buchanan
beginning.
there.
Do you see those very
Carlson.
ideas that you just described as utopian and will so...
Is that supposed to be a joke on us, the fact that he's wearing like a regular tie today? Because since they put him on MSNBC, they made him ditch the bow tie because he looked like a prissy sissy, you know, with that bow tie. And he sounds like it anyway. Sounds like a real screamer. You think that's supposed to be fooling us, the fact he's got like a real honest-to-God tie as opposed to like a silly prissy tie?
A preemptive strike on Iran, and they will push for that in the final 2 years, and I'm not 100% sure they won't get it, because on this one I think the president may still agree with them.
Yep, Pat Buchanan, a wise man.
Oh, no. Pat Buchanan, a wise man. Is he one of the three wise men? No wonder they believe in that crap.
He's one of the wise asses.
Oh. Where the hell is that Rick and Ted thing?
Which one?
Oh, there it is. This one.
So who'd you vote for?
Well, I was on the other guy's ballot.
What other guy?
The Republican guy.
Oh, no, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Ted. I didn't want to break that.
Which one did you vote for, Ted?
I'm not going to get into it, Ted. You'll freak out on me, okay?
No way.
Yeah.
That hooded freak?
Which one? Be specific.
What's his name, man?
I'm not going to argue, Paul.
The guy from CNN?
Ted Turner, yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You voted for Buchanan?
I voted for Ted Turner.
Dude, why don't you just send the police right into my pad. Why don't you just give them my phone number and address,
Ted,
and let them come over
Ted.
and kill me? Man, you're going to elect the thought police.
Ted, this wasn't a presidential election. This is a primary, okay? I didn't have a chance to vote for the other side. Give me the chance to vote for the other side.
Rick?
What?
My pal Rick voted for a Nazi?
I knew this would be... I didn't vote for a Nazi!
The biggest names, the best talent. This is Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
The Middle Eastern world will be exploded. Saddam had people killed with the gas that we sold him. First-time aggressor nation and the only one that's going. Now more blood will be spilled to get that oil flowing. Forget about Korea and the nukes they're toting. And the right wing is drilling it over and over into our heads that Iraq has some weapons of mass destruction.
Absolutely.
I'm dying over here. 3,000 people killed are now forgotten. Let's exploit them instead. Hey, there's oil to be gotten. Going after Saddam to placate Osama. There's no longer mention of the name Bin Laden, but no one seems concerned, all comfy and complacent, believing every word of this cartel administration that controls us by fear through media manipulation. And the right wing is drilling it over and over into our heads that Iraq has some weapons of mass destruction. The loss of civil rights is the price that we're paying. We're all suspects now, Nazi Ashcroft is saying. I have nothing to hide, table talkers all are saying. Blind obedient cattle don't have any reservation. Without unprovoked battle and world annihilation. Old regimes must fall and Halliburton installed with no objection at all. Democrats don't have the balls, and the right wing is drilling it over and over into our brainwashed heads. Iraq has some weapons of mass destruction.
Oh my God.
Only Iraq has some weapons of mass destruction.
All the lies, all the time, all the dead people all the time, all the blood on their hands. I was just looking at the QAM website because of this thing you sent me, this memo. And I noticed that thing at the bottom there, Josh, Hank's Picks.
Yeah.
Humper had kind of an off week, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but I do believe well, first of all, he doesn't, he just puts up 5 games. He doesn't actually pick the games.
What do you mean by that?
Like you sign up to pick the games.
I'm just looking at what it says on our website about the picks, okay?
Oh, you mean Hank and TC's picks?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what is that?
That's something separate from Hank's picks.
I sure as hell hope so. My God. Well, maybe that's like Hank Schwartz that has the deli down the street. Couldn't be Hank Goldberg. Beasley Broadcast Group, owner of radio stations in 10 large and mid-sized markets, announced today it's formed an interactive division and named Kathleen McCartan-Bricketto to head the new group as vice president. Since 1999, McCartan-Bricketto has served as internet sales manager for Beasley's QAM and Power 96, which Power is taking a powder, isn't it? Aren't they taking a dive?
Just a little, this last book.
That's not what I heard. I heard they're, what did you say, they're playing rigatoni music?
Yes, they are.
In her new position, I wonder what position that's going to be. I sure hope it's not the same position that Screw-Ann used to be in. Curled up like a pretzel all the time.
No,
in her
I
new
don't
position, McCartan-Bricketto will lead all the company's interactive initiatives and programs, creating national sales opportunities for advertisers and overseeing the day-to-day operations of web-based activities, including streaming and database development. Now, what does that mean?
Streaming is the commercials that we play online, and the database is all the people that are, get the QAM newsletter. And
you're playing commercials online on QM.com?
That is correct, sir.
But there's nobody who reads, nobody goes to it. Well, I wouldn't say nobody.
About 30, man.
She'll also manage all local market interactive sales managers, coordinate online ad sales, and direct all revenue and processes involved with Beasley's new growth initiatives. It's another one of those revenue streams, okay? Because times are tough, baby. Times are tight. Instead of giving Josh more money to do some of this stuff, they're bringing this broad in. I mean, Kathleen. We love Kathleen. Who the hell is she?
Yes, we do.
You know her?
We love her a lot. Yes, I do. I know her well.
I see. So in other words, she's some young chick with big boobs?
No, not at all. But she's close, near and dear to us here on the show.
And why is that?
She's kin.
Well, that's Josh's mother. Oh. Like I said, so she's probably splitting the cash with Josh anyway.
Yeah.
We were just talking
so
about
excited
that.
about this promotion.
He's waiting for it to trickle down. All that
Dumbass.
streaming money.
We looked at Kathleen's experience in leading this initiative and her abilities in developing new solutions for advertisers. Now, why didn't you interrupt me before I said bitch? That was bad. Now I'm going to hear, oh, you called Josh's mother a bitch. See, I'm going to get that.
Well, I'm going to tell her you said a lot more than that.
Yeah, you'll make it up.
Yes, I will.
All that pretzel crap.
I'm going to talk behind your back a lot, too.
Yeah. Now, who was it that was chasing her around the building? Or who was that?
Me? I don't know. You know, that's all made up. You made all that crap up.
I did not. No, I did not.
Okay.
You told me that.
All right.
Anyway, we looked at Kathleen's experience in leading the... Now, nobody cares about this. I mean, I'm happy for Josh's mother. I'm happy that she's going to share 50% of the pay she's getting for this.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like a big promotion for Ma or what?
That seems to be.
Obviously, yeah, I guess so.
Looks to me, though, like you guys, like your whole family is getting a real foothold in the Beasley Empire.
That's right.
There.
All of a sudden, Josh's family is corporate.
Pretty soon, he's going to be sending me a check every couple of months. All right.
The dinner check.
Yeah.
The hat check.
Just like Rimmer was always passing me checks over to pay. Speaking of passing the money around, drug companies use part of their profits to make sure that the very best people are elected to the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. To them, the very best people are Republicans, of course. Through September of this year, drug companies have given $8.7 million to political campaigns. If both Democrats and Republicans were equally good, those funds will be distributed evenly between the two parties. Democrats and Republicans are not equally good. Republicans are better. That's why 69% of drug company contributions have gone to Republican candidates. In fairness, it says, though, it must be noted that although Pfizer sent 67% of its contributions to Republicans before October, its most recent disclosures show it's had some sort of epiphany, and during October gave only 41% of contributions to Republicans and 59% to Democrats. The story says there's no logical explanation for this change of heart. Maybe they finally caught on the Democrats were most likely going to win, and they're sucking up to them now. That would be the explanation I would see, wouldn't you?
Indeed.
Drug companies are, of course, deeply indebted to the Republicans in crafting the Medicare prescription drug benefit that went into effect in 2006. The Republicans left drug pricing to the free marketplace. One of the proposals that Democrats favored would have permitted Medicare to negotiate prices for drugs that were part of the prescription drug benefit. Republicans didn't like that idea, since that inserts the federal government into a decision that should only be between the senior and his or her pharmacist. Thanks to the failure of that proposal, here's a scene that's repeated thousands of times a day around the country. The senior walks into the pharmacy, asks for a prescription X, is told how much it costs. If the senior doesn't like the price, the senior tells the pharmacist that if the price doesn't come down, the senior is going to buy the drug at a different pharmacy. Most pharmacists will immediately ask the senior how much the senior is willing to pay, and as soon as the senior tells the pharmacist what a fair price is, the pharmacist fills the prescription at the lower price and notifies the drug company that in the future, the pharmacist will be paying the drug company less. This is an example of the Republicans' idea of the free market in action, and that's why they refused to let Medicare negotiate drug prices. They knew seniors could do a better job on their own. That's not all Republicans did for seniors. The Republicans made sure that the new prescription drug program would not permit the federal government to start its own drug program that would provide seniors with lower prices. That, too, would not be the American way. Nancy Pelosi, who'd be Speaker of the House if Democrats win, says the first thing Democrats will do if they take control is launch an attack on the free enterprise system loved by Republicans. That's how she puts it. She says Democrats will change the rules to enable the government to negotiate drug prices paid out by Medicare. She says the resultant savings would be so great that there'd be no need for the donut hole. The losers would be the drug companies. The winners would be the seniors. That's another reason drug companies give most of their support to Republicans. It's a reason seniors should vote for Democrats. How do you like that?
Oy!
Since our audience is now probably all over the age of 90 like me. Do you see we got 1365 now? If Josh would have really pushed it instead of, sending me all these memos about his mom is making big bucks now, and calling Mad Dog, what was it, a dumbass jackass?
Yeah, that's what you said.
We'd have gotten to 1400. And you know what that would have meant?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
The biggest names, the best talent.
Would have been fun, though.
Neil Rogers, Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Oh, God.
You're free, and freedom is beautiful.
And, it'll take time to restore chaos. But we will. Something stinks inside our house. Does it kick those bastards out? Absolutely.